Welcome to Arroyo Seco Baseball, live and on the air as we get set for the Arroyo Seco Saints to take on the MLB Academy Barons. Hello, my name is Ryan Osborne. I am joined by Stephen Baltiera over to my right-hand side as we get set for this Arroyo Seco matchup this afternoon. Arroyo Seco will begin in the field, as always, being home at Brookside Park and at Jackie Robinson Field. And speaking of which, let's get right to the starting lineups this afternoon. For the MLB Academy Barons, their starting batting order will consist of Desmond Gates, followed by Daniel Harris, and then Josh Banuelos to round out the top three. Joseph Argumedo will be batting fourth and in the cleanup spot, with Hunter Lewis behind him. Trevor Matson and Cameron Dean are the 6-7 hitters, with 8 and 9 patrolled by Bruce Martin and Roosevelt Barnes. Andy Rosales will be the one out of Compton College to pitch for the Barons this afternoon. In the field, Arroyo Seco will have the one and only Colin King on the mound, and behind the plate is Bennett McCaskill. Over at first will be Cooper Williams, and at second base is Gabe Chavez, with third this afternoon being patrolled by Marco Martinez. And over at short is Colin Shepard, who has had an electrifying second half. In left field, Arroyo Seco is going to go with Dalton A. Center field is Jacob Jenkins, and in right will be Cameron Briggs. As we get set for the first pitch this afternoon, and Desmond Gates coming up to the plate. Ryan Osborne, joined by Stephen Baltier. And Stephen, when you look at these two teams, it's unfortunate that the season wraps up this afternoon for the Arroyo Seco Saints, as this one is shot down towards the left-hand side. It's going to land in fair territory. Desmond Gates trying to motor his way around first base. He ends up losing his footing as he rounds first, so he will stick to a very long single down the left field line, and it will be a start-off base knock for the MLB Academy Barons, and they have one on.
Yeah, obviously not a good start right there for Colin King, but, you know, obviously it's early in the ball game. Last game of the season, both of these teams are out of playoff contention, so not too much to play for. I mean, obviously it's college summer ball, so you're not going to try to get hurt out there. You're going to try to keep things smooth at a flowy pace, but at the same time, a rather not important or not essential battle going on right here for sixth place right now in the CCL standings between the Academy Barons and the Arroyo Seco Saints. So a little bit of, you know, pride right here going into this last ball game of the season.
And when you speak of that, Arroyo Seco so far, they are actually a game, or make it a half game back of the MLB Academy Barons as of this afternoon. So if they would end up winning this one, they'd go a half game ahead, and this is smacked into center field. It will be a single. So the top two guys in the order, and Desmond Gates and Daniel Harris, both get on via the single. And in only 4 pitches, they are runners on first and second for the Academy Barons.
Yeah, and already you're seeing the bats right now. The Academy Barons kind of come alive in the first 3 games of the series, right? Earlier in the season between the Saints and the Academy Barons, they put up 14 runs and also 12 runs. So this team has a lot of power. Obviously, the pitching has not been there so far for the Academy Barons. One of the reasons why they're not going to be in the playoffs this season. But at the end of the day, they still have a lot of bats in that lineup that can get it done.
So Joshua Banuelos is up next. Ryan Osborne, Stephen Baltiera over to my right. 345 down the right field line as we stare out and watch Colin King bring forward a fastball outside corner for a strike. It's now no balls and 1 strike. Left field line is 374. In center, it's 364. And, of course, that short porch in right at 345. Here at Jackie Robinson Field, Brookside Park in Pasadena. What is the final game as this goes towards the left-hand side? Marco Martinez will pick it up. He'll toss to first. A little bit low, but Cooper Williams is able to dig it out, and that will be out number 1. But the sacrifice moves everybody over in second and third with just 1 gone.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting call right there by the Academy Barons. Obviously, the last game of the season, not really much to play for, and you're still playing a little bit of small ball out there. So you don't really see that too much here in CCL summer ball play overall, but for the last game of the season for 2 teams that aren't in the playoffs, I mean, kind of surprised not to see him swing away there, but nonetheless, runners at second and third now, only 1 man out, so the Academy Barons are in a good position.
So next up is Joseph Argumedo. Argumedo, a right-handed hitter, as he stares on towards Colin King. King delivers, and this one is smacked foul right-hand side, and it will stick into the cage over to our right. Never comes back down.
Yeah, we've seen that countless times here at Jackie Robinson Field, so Not the first time that's happened. It won't be the last time that happens either.
Argumedo, very open stance as he takes a look. Now crouches forward, swings and misses as he gets turned around inside corner. And it makes it no balls and 2 strikes with 1 gone. Outfield shaded towards left. Dalton Ney in left field, a couple steps back. In center, Jacob Jenkins, 2 steps towards the scoreboard here at Jackie Robinson Field. Next up to Argumedo, and he will turn on it as it will end up hitting him in the shoulder. And he'll take a walk up towards first base, and the Academy Barons have the bases loaded with 1 out in the top half of the first inning. And as you said, not the ideal start that Arroyo Seco would have liked this afternoon, but now they're going to just have to find a way to work around it.
Yeah, and obviously that's not a great pitch right there by Colin King, but it doesn't really hurt him that much. Runners at second and third already to begin with, so now you have runners a force at every single base now with 1 out. So that actually might work in Colin King's favor right here in the first inning.
Bases are full. There goes King into the wind. He'll deliver towards home and bring an inside half right in on the hands to Hunter Lewis. So Banuelos earlier gets the sacrifice, which makes it 1 gone, and also second and third with 1 away. Argumedo ends up getting hit by a pitch. He's taking a healthy lead over at first. This is looped in towards center field. Jenkins going back on it at the track. He'll make the catch. Everyone's going to tag up. The toss goes down to third. Gets cut off over at second. They'll toss to second. And while it looked like the throw may have beat Argumedo down to second base, it ends up that the tag is just a shade late, as Argumedo will be safe at second base, and down at third goes Daniel Harris, and the run scores.
Yeah, just a great play right there, and obviously small ball and fundamentals right now playing off for the Academy Barons. You see the bunt down the third base line, and obviously the sac fly right there. That's obviously the best chance to win right here. Play fundamental baseball early in the ball game, and already have a 1-0 lead against the Arroyo Seco Saints.
So tough luck for the Saints in the top half of the first, and a breaking ball inside half to Trevor Matson will be called for a strike. He watches all the way. Right-handed hitter once again. This time no batting gloves. Looks like he got the old rosin bag and just dusted off the hands, get a better grip. Next delivery, and that is a high chopper down towards third. It will just get into foul territory as Bennett McCaskill took a little jog over to see whether or not it was worth his time to go after it, and instead it ends up going foul.
Yeah, Academy Barons. Obviously Colin King, a big spot for him. Runners at second and third, 2 men are out. Base here might score 2, and you don't really want to open this game up too early. So it's a big spot early in the ballgame for Colin King.
King going from the full wind as he takes a look in. Now he goes into the wind at 0-2. It's the same high chopper down to second. Gabe Chavez to first. Cooper Williams makes the catch. And that will do it for the inning on the 4-3 grounder. However, there's 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on base. As we go to the bottom half of the first, it's the MLB Academy Barons who take a 1-0 lead over the Arroyo Seco Saints. So first up will be Cameron Briggs. He'll be followed by Colin Shepard and Bennett McCaskill. Cooper Williams will be hitting in the number 4 spot, batting cleanup. And Dalton Ney is behind him with Bobby Fulkerson, who will be the DH this afternoon. Gabe Chavez and Jacob Jenkins with Marco Martinez. That's the batting order for the Arroyo Seco Saints. As we get set for the bottom half of the first inning, Ryan Osborne joined by Steven Baltiera over to my right-hand side as the Arroyo Seco Saints are quickly down 1-0 after the top half of the first didn't go the way that Colin King would have liked. And Cameron Briggs is up at the plate hoping to change things up.
Yeah, Briggs has been hot so far in the past couple games for the Arroyo Seco Saints, so that's why he's in the leadoff spot. And you see him right there, drill that ball down the line, just foul, but Briggs so far in the past 3 games has been one of the best hitters for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
And he immediately jumped after that one. Sent it foul, left-hand side. Just a shade, maybe by 2 or 3 feet at max. As Briggs steps back in there. Right-handed hitter, next delivery, and that goes towards short. Picking it up and tossing over to first in time is Bruce Martin, and that will be out number 1. So a 6-3 grounder, 1 away, and up next is Colin Shepard. You want to talk about a guy who has been hot in the last half of the season for the Saints. It has been Colin Shepard, who a lot of people thought may have been a little bit of a snub going into that CCL prospect game, considering that he was in the top 6 in batting average.
I believe that was Drew Cali.
Drew Cali, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was Drew Cali.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Drew Cali was definitely, he is currently, in the top 6 right now in batting average. I think about a 343 batting average, but he was one of those snubs that a lot of people on the Arroyo Seco program just really, felt like didn't get the credit or the recognition that he deserves. So, I mean, either way, I think he's hurt, so he's not going to be here playing in this last ball game for the season for the Saints, but obviously one of the better players for the Saints throughout the season. Not a lot of bright spots when you're losing season, but Drew Cali was definitely one of them.
So now Colin Shepard is at the plate, not Drew Cali.
Colin Shepard,
apologies.
Colin Shepard, though, has been one of those guys, the mainstay in the lineup as well. It's been kind of the Drew Cali, Cameron Briggs, and Colin Shepard. Those 3 guys right there have been one of those table setters for the Arroyo Seco Saints, and guys that head coach Sean Brewer can always kind of count on in tough times.
Next delivery goes too far up and high. 3 balls and no strikes with 1 away. Next delivery from Rosales, that's right down the pipe for a strike. So it goes to 3-1. Cali not having the green light, and he holds back. We'll get to the defensive lineups for the MLB Academy Barons in just a second, as Rosales, the lefty, goes into the line and is fouled straight back towards the camera. And that will end up making it a full count at 3-2.
Yeah, these 2 teams, they had a 3-game series about 2 weeks ago, and a lot of those games, except for the first one, the first game, the Arroyo Seco Saints kind of handled the Academy Barons here at Brookside Park, but a walk-off home run on the Saturday game. Joey Steele gives up a 2-run home run in the 9th inning to blow that game for the Saints 12-1, and then 12-11, excuse me. And then on Sunday, the Barons came back here and beat the Saints 14-8. So a lot of offense between these 2 teams, and I don't really expect that to be different, any different today.
This one gets fouled off the mask of our home plate umpire, so everyone will take a quick break. Make sure that he's okay, as Andy Rosales will go back to the mound. Lefty out of Compton College. Didn't really have to travel too far to play his summer ball.
It's a home field right there for the Compton College Tartars.
I believe he only moved around, we'll say 15 feet?
I would have to agree there. Yeah, Compton College, another good program. Obviously, it's junior college baseball, but I had the privilege of playing at Mount Sac, and they were in our conference. And that's honestly a really good program for Compton College. A lot of good players come out of there, and always a tough, scrappy team to play against in the South Coast Conference.
You talk about that South Coast Conference, and a lot of changes coming up to that South Coast Conference. Orange Empire as well.
Yeah, Orange Empire has always kind of been considered the crown jewel of junior college baseball in California. You have Fullerton College, you have Orange Coast College. A lot of those Orange County schools.
Santa Ana,
another one right there too as well.
Swing and a miss by Colin Shepard. So after a big battle there from Shep, he will end up going back to the dugout, and Bennett McCaskill up next.
That's a great changeup right there from Rosales. Just get Shepard right there on his front foot. So great pitch from Rosales, and now we have McCaskill up.
So here comes Bennett McCaskill, one of the catchers for the Arroyo Seco Saints. Right-handed hitter out of Dartmouth. Sophomore out of Cardiff, California. And he immediately has to duck out of the way of that fastball.
And his father played 12 Major League seasons with the Mariners and I believe, the White Sox and Angels, California Angels and the Chicago White Sox. Kurt McCaskill.
Next delivery, smacked into center field. And with big league poise, Bennett is able to get on base.
And had a chance last night to call the game with the SoCal catch in Arroyo Seco Saints, and his teammate at Torrey Pines High School, where Bennett McCaskill went to high school at, Jake Boone, was on the SoCal catch, his teammate from high school, and his father is Brett Boone of the Seattle Mariners. His uncle, the manager for the New York Yankees, and Aaron Boone. So a lot of Major League Baseball heritage down there in Torrey Pines High School.
So McCaskill will lead off with Cooper Williams coming up next. And when you look at a guy like Cooper Williams there, Steven, I mean, just looking at him, you think, okay, this is a power hitter. And you're not wrong,
Yeah.
especially with the way, I mean, the interns were allowed to go out and shag flies this afternoon. And just seeing Cooper Williams come up to the dish and have a couple of swings in the batting cage, it's just one powerful man who comes up to the plate.
Yeah, I was in batting practice earlier, and my hardest swing is probably his softest swing, so that should tell you a lot about Cooper Williams. Obviously, he's just a big guy, and you can tell the power is there. You can definitely see. We've seen it so far this season, had a couple of home runs so far for the Saints, so you can see the power. Obviously, in BP, he's over here hitting balls over the net in right field and off the net usually, so a lot of power right there from the four-hole hitter for the Saints.
And you talk about off the net. Earlier in batting practice, he had a total of around 18 pitches that he ended up seeing. And if my counting was correct, he hit about 9 or 10 out to straightaway center and right center field that hit the net. They didn't just clear the fence. They were gone.
Yeah, that's one powerful man right now at the plate right now. And I mean, it's not a big ballpark, 364 to straight center, but it still takes a lot to get it out of here. So it's one of the best hitters for the Saints this season.
Next up from Rosales, and he'll bounce a third pitch to Cooper Williams, staying away from him at 3 balls and 2 strikes with Bennett McCaskill over at first.
Had a chance to call the game two Tuesdays ago against the OC Riptide, and Mason McWhorter from the OC Riptide absolutely destroyed a ball over the net, over these trees in center field. So you see the power all over the CCL.
Unfortunately, Cooper Williams will not have a chance to show off that power in this at-bat as he ends up getting rung up on a 3-ball, 2-strike curveball right down the heart. So that will end the inning. It's 3 outs for the Saints. They don't recuperate a run, and it's currently 1-0. The MLB Academy Barons are on top of the Saints. This is Arroyo Seco Saints baseball on the air. Cameron Dean's the first guy due up for the Barons as we take a look at inning number 2 here from Brookside Park, live at Jackie Robinson Field. The Arroyo Seco Saints are on the air, taking on the MLB Academy Barons for the right to move up in the standings towards the end here and end off the season on a high note. It's currently 1-0. The Barons are up as Colin King takes the pitch and ends up putting it above the strike zone for 1 ball and no strikes.
Yeah, me and Anthony Alejandro last night were joking about how Saints right now are kind of fighting for 6th place, semi-pro. Jackie Moon fighting for 4th place right now, so got the Brookside Mega Bowl on the line right here.
This is sent into left field for a single. Little dinker that makes its way out into the outfield. But nonetheless, that is 3 hits for the Barons in the first 2 innings. And coming up next is Bruce Martin. And I mean, even though some people will listen in or watch online, they say, oh, well, it's just 6th place. I mean, this is basically a meaningless game. Well, you're looking at a team in Arroyo Seco, which is just in their 2nd year of CCL play, as this is swung and fouled straight back and to the screen. Last year, they just missed out on the playoffs. The year before, they were an affiliate program with the CCL, so they weren't able to go to the playoffs. But last year had a very good showing, and this year, though they initially kind of squandered that first half of the season, all of a sudden you saw the second half, and you're looking at it and going, okay, if they replicated that second half over the first half, this is a team that is maybe a game and a half out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games that you look back to, or especially me as well. There's a lot of 1-1 ball games. A lot of games that just got away that they should have probably won. I mean, you look back maybe 5 or 6 or 7 of those games that you should have won those games if you're the Saints, and those games could easily, if you flip those games, you could be 3rd, 4th place right now. So this team is not far off from where they want to be. They obviously want to be in the playoffs. They want to be competing for titles in the CCL. They don't want to be in the bottom of the barrel for the most part. I mean, it's going to be tough. Looking at the Foresters, I mean, they're just every year they're always a loaded team and just a team that's just stacked with talent. So it's a tough road, but at the same time, the Saints team, they have the opportunity to really acquire a lot of talent every summer, and I really believe they're just hitting their infancy stage right now as a program, and this program has a limitless possibilities going forward in the next few years.
There goes King into the set. He takes a look at Dean over at first, and Bruce Martin will watch on as that bounces home. That brings the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes, and the confounding thing about Cal Summer Baseball is the fact that it's not necessarily one of those things where you can say, okay, well, we're going to have some seniors moving on, graduating seniors, we can at least restock, reload. We have the same core, and we'll improve next year. In Cal Summer Baseball, as a count looking for Bruce Martin, makes it the first strikeout of the afternoon for Colin King, and Roosevelt Barnes up next. In summer baseball, you're looking at it and saying, okay, though this year we struggled a little bit, we have no idea what next year is going to look like because it's basically a brand new staff.
Exactly.
I mean, looking at the way that the roster shaped out this year, there were only 3 guys who played last year on or in the Arroyo Seco program, and one of them played in the high school program. Colin King with a beautiful pickoff move over at first. The rundown has got Dean, and that will be out number 2. Colin King wisely tosses to first base, and Cameron Dean is erased.
Yeah, great pickoff there from Colin King to get Cameron Dean on his front foot there, and he knew right away that he was toast as soon as he kind of used his momentum to go towards second base, and great pickoff all around by Colin King.
So now King will have the bases empty, and he can go out of the full wind, as Roosevelt Barnes will be up next. King winds and fires, and this is a 2-hopper down to short. Picking it up is Shepard. He'll toss to first. Cooper Williams nonchalantly makes the catch. He'll walk off the first base bag, and that will do it. Technically a 1-2-3 inning for the Arroyo Seco Saints. That'll do it for the top half of the second. We're going to go to the bottom half. It's 1-0 MLB Academy up on top of the Arroyo Seco Saints. You can hear Dalton Nay's name be called out in the background as we get set for this next half inning. It's the second, and Arroyo Seco is looking for a chance to get back into this one. They're only down 1-0, but the Saints are now going to have Dalton Nay, Bobby Fulkerson, and Gabe Chavez due up. Here's Rosales, and he'll immediately deliver much too high. Of course, earlier we were talking about the interns having a chance to go onto the field and shag some balls, play catch. Also had a chance at the batting cage as well, as Coach Bueller was tossing to all of us.
Yeah, I was reliving the dream for a little bit there, Ryan, just for a split second.
I think almost all of us were. As this is smacked to left field. Nay with a charge, and he hits it to the track. It's going to get down to the wall, kind of stick there, as Cameron Dean gets over to it, and it's an easy double for Dalton Nay. So Nay is on, and he puts a runner in scoring position for the Saints. And coming up next is Bobby Fulkerson, a guy who was initially a position player over at New Hampshire and kind of decided, hey, you know, I want to rebrand myself. I want to see what I can do in the pitching staff. And so he comes out here to summer baseball, deciding to kind of see if he would have the ability to go out there and just be a pitcher. And he has done that for most of the season, but this afternoon he's the DH.
Yeah, Fulkerson's been one of the better pitchers for the Saints and better hitters so far. He slaps that one back up the middle for the Saints.
Dalton Nay moving around third. He's going to easily score without a throw. So just as you say that he's one of the better hitters, he sends one into center field. It's an RBI single. And yes, folks, some pitchers can hit.
Pitchers are athletes and people too.
So that's the first run for the Arroyo Seco Saints. It's on the board, and the Saints have tied it with 2 hits back-to-back, and it's now 1-1.
You have to mention, I don't obviously just batted already, but Dalton Nay, doesn't he remind you of Justin Turner Jr. a little bit? He has to remind you with that stance. With this stance, if you look at his stance real closely, open a little bit, the nice leg kick, the follow through, it is Justin Turner to a T. And now we have Gabe Chavez, who has a little bit of Altuve-esque to him as well.
Rosales into the wind and brings it home, bounces it once more. That's the 6th pitch in the last 2 innings that he has bounced in front of home plate. 2 balls, no strikes, 1-1 tie. Kind of a stagnant afternoon, I guess you could say, here in Pasadena. And as I say that, the breeze picks up. 2-0 count to Chavez. He swings at it and high chops it down to Matson. Matson to third, over to first. It's in time to clip Chavez, but it will go down as a sacrifice, as moving up to second base was Bobby Fulkerson. There's out number 1, and in each of the last 3 at-bats, Arroyo Seco has put wood on the ball and done something productive.
Yeah, so far the Saints getting after Rosales here in the second inning. The bats have come, as you mentioned, the bats have been coming alive in these last 2 weeks for the Saints and has led to some W's, but a little too late in the season.
As we were talking about earlier in the year, that's the plight of a 40-game season. You don't have a chance to get or to lose momentum and then try and re-pick it back up and make for a late season push. In summer baseball, either you're hot and you're in the playoffs or you're not.
And the thing is, most of these teams in the CCL have not been particularly well outside of the Foresters. The Foresters, I mean, just one of the better teams all around the country as far as college baseball goes, but Saints are up there with just about anybody in the CCL.
This ball ends up not being caught by the Barons, as we were talking about the kind of stagnant weather conditions here. Directly behind our backs is the sun, and all the fielders have to deal with it, including Rosales, who was coming over trying to make the catch as well. And over at first, Hunter Lewis came down to make the catch. He ended up near his dugout trying to find the ball. And Argumedo behind home plate ran into Jacob Jenkins up the line trying to find where that baseball was. So this gets fouled off to the right-hand side and behind home plate by Jacob Jenkins. 1-2. Jenkins, a righty with one batting glove, one not.
A little bit of Hunter Pence-esque right now.
Swinging the bat back and forth, slightly crouched stance, and takes a look at a ball underneath the knees.
Yeah, right now it seems Rosales kind of struggling with command so far in the second inning. And when that happens, people start usually zoning in on you, start leaving the ball up in the zone. You want to start throwing strikes, and that's when people start kind of hitting you better.
Chopped down to third, into foul ground. Coach Cody trying to make a play on it, ends up going just past him. That's the one thing that with this internship, and especially over at the CCL prospect game, it gives you a chance to really figure out who the coaching staff is. Not necessarily get chummy with them, but, you know, you have a working relationship and you're able to talk to them on a personal level and talk about baseball. And it's not necessarily an interview type setting, as this one is smacked into left field. Running around third is Bobby Fulkerson. There will be no throw. The demustached man comes around third, and he will score as Jacob Jenkins drives in a run as well. Now it's a 2-1 lead for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
Yeah, and all of a sudden these bats have really come alive here in the second inning for the Saints. You had three hits overall in the inning by Dalton, Fulkerson, and also Jenkins. And also Marco Martinez, the SC product next year, coming straight out of high school from Maranatha High School here in Pasadena. Out at the plate now.
Already into the groove with, shall we say, Cardinal cleats. So this one is smacked towards center, but easily playable for Desmond Gates, who settles underneath it, and he will make the catch. So Martinez right on the button, but he will have to retreat to the dugout. And coming up next is the top of the lineup in Cameron Briggs. Briggs grounded out to short last time up. And considering the fact that this is the final game of the season, we can kind of reflect on how the year went for Arroyo Seco, and then also for us, the interns. How the plight was. I mean, you start off the season thinking, hey, this is going to be an omen of well-being, considering that Arroyo Seco won their very first game in comeback fashion against the OC Riptide, the defending CCL champions. Well, the next afternoon, they would end up having a loss to the Riptide. They would go 3-2 through their first 5 games, and unfortunately went on a pretty lengthy losing streak, and that's what kind of buried them throughout the season.
Yeah, that losing streak really steamrolled into the middle part of the season and really just kind of unable to really string together a few wins at a time. And I don't think they've won back. Excuse me, they haven't won 3 straight games at all this season. Only won back-to-back a few times. So that's kind of really just been the product of just a bad play and just different lack of fundamentals that you've seen from the Saints. And I think the talent's there, and I think the amount of talent they're getting is there. I just think it's the lack of focus and the lack of fundamentals that go in and day out in baseball that requires of baseball. So once they're able to get that down, I think the Saints will be okay.
That one goes low. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 out. At the plate is Cameron Briggs. He's 0 for 1. Runner on first, Jacob Jenkins, who recently drove in a run. It's 2-1 Saints. Next delivery, that's up and 2 high. Jacob Jenkins down to second. He won't be there in time. The tag is applied. The backswing is there as Jacob Jenkins is erased, and that will be out number 3, which means that Cameron Briggs will be back up at the plate when we go to the third. 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. The score is 2-1 Saints. We are live and on the air with Arroyo Seco Saints baseball.
Okay. So we're back here on the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. We got John Thomas and Bryce Gray. I don't know where you guys are going. I have you guys on the broadcast real quick. They were on the broadcast last night against the SoCal Catch, and they want to be back on it again today, so we'll go ahead and have them back on it. Go ahead and join it, guys.
What's up, Saints fans? John Thomas back here. Me and Bryce Gray
Back by popular demand.
got some real good reviews last night, so they asked us to hop back on the broadcast. We're joining you top of the third inning here. Your Saints have a 2-1 lead after putting up a nice 2-spot in the bottom of the second. Bobby Fultz with his, I believe that was his third hit in the last 2 days. He's been swinging a hot bat.
He swings it, man. He's a great pitcher. Great pitcher. He can hit it, too.
Colin King on the mound for the Saints here. Bryce, one thing I wanted to ask you is, you think LA's been better than Chicago? What would you say?
I mean, like, LA's been great. I had a great time here. Great couple months here. But there's nothing that compares to the great city of Chicago, Illinois.
Bryce, I'm not going to lie, man. I
There's
completely
nothing.
disagree with you.
You're wrong. I mean,
How am I wrong?
look,
Tell
you're
me
biased.
how I'm wrong.
You're biased. I'm biased. Chicago's the greatest city in the
All
world.
I'm saying is,
Simple as that.
I've been to both cities. See, Bryce.
See, you haven't
Bryce
been
has
to
been
Chicago.
in. Bryce has been in Pasadena. He hasn't really been in LA this whole summer, and he hasn't. Oh, foul ball right back to us. You got a full count. He hasn't really been to like the real LA, like downtown LA or Beverly Hills,
Okay,
Santa Monica, Venice Beach. He hasn't really even been to the beach. Like he doesn't really know the real LA. That's what I would
Okay,
say.
well, first, I got one question for you. Explain, like, what was your definition of you being in Chicago? How long have you ever been in the
I
city
have
of Chicago?
spent 3 full days.
3
in
full
Chicago.
days, okay.
3 full days. Ground ball to the shortstop. Shepard fields it, makes the throw, gets the first out.
So, do you honestly think you can get a full sense of Chicago in 3 days?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You honestly think that?
As I have said to you earlier, I have been to all of the Chicago landmarks.
Oh my!
I know they
You've been
call
to
it.
all of the tourist landmarks. You've never been in Chicago.
I've been to Navy Pier. I've been to Navy Pier. I've been to Willis Tower.
It's the Sears Tower.
No, it's called the Willis
It's the
Tower
Sears
now.
Tower. We
No,
don't
you
call
should
it
know.
that. It's the Sears Tower.
You're from Chicago.
It's the,
You should know.
You're
It's
right.
called
I
the
do
Willis
know.
Tower.
It's the Sears Tower.
It's the Willis
No,
Tower.
it's not.
What is the name on the building?
It's the Sears Tower.
Foul ball. We got an 0-1 count here.
It will be forever the Sears Tower.
What is it called?
The Sears Tower.
What's the name on the building?
Sears Tower.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Or are you lying to our viewers?
100% it's the Sears Tower. Okay, but like I was saying, you've been to Chicago for 3 days. 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I said yesterday, I used to come here every summer for an entire month. So you think I would? You think I have a better sense?
You came to Pasadena?
Okay, but we would go to LA as well.
No, you came to Pasadena. You lived in Pasadena. You did
Yes.
not live in LA.
Dude, I've been here a lot more than you've been in Chicago. By far.
You've been to Pasadena
By
more
far.
than I've been to Chicago. You
Okay,
haven't
but
been
I
to
spent
LA.
more time in LA than you spent in Chicago. By far.
This doesn't really count as LA. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not talking about here. I've been in LA.
I don't think you spent as much time in LA as you think you have.
And you have spent no time in Chicago. So if between the two of us anybody was gonna make a judgment on this, it's me because I spent more time in LA than you spent in Chicago.
If I hadn't been to Chicago, how would I know what Willis Tower is?
Dude, that's King
got
strikes
King
gets a
strikes
strike out
out.
there. 2 outs on the top of this.
How would I know
third.
what Willis Tower is? I've been all up and down Michigan Ave. In fact,
Bro, you literally asked me
you even-
yesterday.
No,
you asked me
no.
yesterday.
You asked me.
No, you
You
asked
asked
me
me.
yesterday. What is the main shopping street in Chicago? And I
keep-
had to
Are
tell
you
you.
gonna keep lying to our listeners?
I'm lying. I just made that up on the spot.
Yes, I did not
Oh
ask you
my
that.
God, you're lying.
You asked me that. in
Are you
fact.
kidding me right now?
No, you asked me
This is
that.
crazy. This is crazy. But yeah, Chicago is the best city in the world by far. There's nothing
King
that
flips in a
compares.
curveball for ball 1.
Nothing that compares. Nothing. Y'all have You have maybe.
All right,
No,
let's
no.
let's go category by category.
All
all
right,
right.
you started off.
Weather.
Chicago.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
How?
Dude, we get all 4 seasons in Chicago. You get 1 season.
We
here.
get
maybe
sun.
2.
We get sun.
You
You
get
could
2
go to the
seasons.
beach on December 17th. You could go to the beach. Jang
Oh,
makes
makes
an
a
outstanding
nice
diving
catch.
catch. That's 3 outs. King seems to have found his groove, cruising along as we go to the bottom of the 3rd
And
inning.
we'll be back to finish this. I get,
All right, Saints fans, we're back here in the bottom of the third. Cameron Briggs leading us off. We got a 2-1 lead, trying to close out the season strong. Anyways, back to what we were talking about, Bryce.
I don't think that debate's going anywhere. I don't think that. I think that's a stalemate because you're wrong.
So we're going to ditch the weather debate? Okay.
Yeah, I think
Let me
we're
ask you this. Do you guys even have beaches in the Midwest?
Yes. 100%
Really?
yes.
You got oceans in the Midwest?
No. See, here we go. Round 2. You don't have to have an ocean to have a beach. If you have a body of water with sand, it's a beach.
Technically, but it's not the same thing.
But you agree that our beach is in the Midwest. You just agreed.
Beaches, you can't see me, but I'm putting air quotes around it.
You
beaches.
just said so you agree.
No, I do not.
You just said
No,
technically.
I didn't.
So that means yes.
No, it doesn't.
Yes. No, you're
Like
wrong.
you said, technically the Willis Tower is called the Willis Tower, but you're saying it's actually
I
the
never
Sears
said
Tower.
technically. It's the Sears Tower.
No, because technically it
It's
is
the
called
Sears
the Willis
Tower.
Tower.
You're wrong.
It's called the
It's
Willis
the Sears
Tower.
Tower. It is and will forever be
Anyways,
the Sears Tower. But no,
you guys don't have real beaches
yes,
in
we
the
do.
Midwest. No,
Why
you don't.
Why don't we? Why?
Because you have
Why?
lakes. You don't have
What does
oceans.
that mean?
Briggs slaps the ball down the right field line, tail and foul. It's going to drop in for a foul ball.
1-2 count on them. But that means nothing. Because we don't have oceans means nothing.
So you don't have real beaches.
Yes, we do.
So are you saying your beaches are better than our beaches?
I never said that.
Okay.
Did those words come out of my mouth? You're putting words in my
Okay,
mouth.
no, I'm just making sure. So who wins that category?
What do you mean?
Who has better beaches?
You all have more.
Who
We
has-
have one.
Who has better
We
beaches?
have one. Dude,
Who has better beaches?
Chicago.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I don't even have an ocean. How do you have a better beach?
Briggs puts a drive in that one.
Center fielder ranging back. He'll get under and make the play. We got one
Put
out.
that ball to the warning track.
Colin Shepard coming up to the plate.
I mean, let's be real. Oak Street Beach can't compare.
Nobody on the broadcast even knows what that is.
Hey, the real people know.
No.
We know.
No.
We know.
No.
If you know, you know.
If you're not from Chicago, you do not know what was it called? Oak Street
Oak
Beach?
Street Beach, bro.
You don't know Oak Street Beaches. If you're
If
you're
you've never
not
been
from
Oak Street
LA,
Beach, you should
if you're not
definitely
from
go to Oak
LA,
Street Beach.
you know what Venice Beach is.
I've never heard of Venice Beach.
You are lying
Never
right now.
heard of it.
Third time he's lied on this
Never
broadcast
heard of
alone.
it.
That's crazy.
Never heard
Third
of it.
time.
Where's that?
He's lying to you guys.
That's in California
Saying
somewhere?
he's never heard of Venice Beach.
What's so special about Venice Beach? It's just a beach.
No, it's not just a beach. It's a community, actually. It's more than a beach.
And Chicago's beaches are the same way.
No, they're not.
Yes,
You don't
they
even
are.
have oceans.
That
you have
means
lakes.
Nothing.
It's a sorry version of a beach.
But it's a beach, right?
It's a sorry version
It's
of
a beach. Just say yes. Just say yes.
Yeah, but it's
Okay,
worse than
that's
our beaches is all I'm saying.
How can you say that? Have you ever been to one?
Yes, I've been to Chicago, like I said,
I
three
didn't
times.
ask if you've been to Chicago. I asked if you've been to Chicago Beach.
I've driven past it.
I didn't ask
The
that.
water looked really cold. No one was getting in it.
The water here is
The
cold.
sand looked really rocky.
Oh my! The water here is cold. The sand here is rocky.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Shep. Flips a curveball into right center. Right fielder seems to have a beat on it. He'll make the play. We got 2 outs.
From Dartmouth, number 9, Bennett McCaskill.
Here comes Bennett McCaskill from Dartmouth, a San Diego native. Torrey Pines High School.
Hey, shout out to Jake Singer, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's finest from Torrey Pines High School.
I don't
as
know
well.
who that is, but
If you know, you know.
Bryce just admitted that he, in fact, is not Notre Dame's finest, which surprises no one.
Here you go. Here you go.
The 0 pitch to McCaskill. He looks to the fastball inside for ball 1.
That's crazy. I'm not a me guy. I'm a team guy. You know?
Okay. All I'm saying is somebody won an ESPY, and it wasn't you, so I don't know if you're Notre Dame's finest.
I mean, you didn't win SB either.
No, I didn't. Shout out to our track team. That's
Shout out
USC's
to our
finest.
women's basketball team.
McCaskill
Oh,
dribbles
that's-
the ball down third base line. He'll reach safely on a swinging bunt.
Pitcher should let that
Brings
go foul.
up Cooper Williams, coming up with 2 outs.
Gilbert, Arizona, number 32, Cooper Williams.
But yeah, I mean, you're not even in like the top 3 for Notre Dame's finest, are you?
I mean, probably not, to be honest. I mean, I don't think
Okay.
anybody in Notre Dame baseball.
Oh
the top.
wow! I hope your teammates heard that. After saying you were gonna win it all.
We are going to win it
That's
all.
yesterday.
Because once we win it all, we'll be the top 35 in Notre Dame's finest.
Top 35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
1 through 35, top to bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to face you guys.
We will spank you.
I really do hope that you catching and Cam Brown is on the mound.
And I hope you are hitting. We will. I mean,
Oh, I'll be
I'm
hitting. I
I'm
will
calling
be
it
hitting.
Golden sombrero.
Coop takes a slider out to deep right center field. The center fielder will get under for the 3rd out of the
That
inning.
looks like that's our time there. Actually, no, they said
Oh,
we can keep
oh,
going.
we
so
gonna
we're
keep
here.
going. All
We're
right.
here.
All
We're
right.
here.
No runs.
We'll be
We'll
back.
be back into the top of
no
the
errors,
fourth.
and 1 runner left on base. Now pitching for the Saints, number 33 from New Mexico State, Wyatt Kelly.
All right, Saints fans, we're back here in the top of the fourth inning. A little information for you guys. While we were away, we were informed that if it is a lake, it does not
Okay,
count
no,
as a
that
beach.
is not factual.
does
That
not
is not
count as a
factual. That
beach.
is somebody's
And
opinion.
number two, we were also informed that it is currently known as the Willis Tower, not Sears Tower.
And
So
I did know
somehow,
that. I knew that.
somehow
Obviously, I knew that.
the LA boy
I knew
just
that.
won 2 arguments about
No, you didn't.
Bryce's native
No, you
town or
didn't.
city, Chicago.
You won maybe one. No, you didn't win anything. Okay, I will give you, yes. I will give you. It is technically the Willis Tower. I'll give you that.
Yes, it is. Meanwhile, we have a pitching change here in the top of the fourth. Wyatt Kelly coming in. Starts it off with a fastball down for ball 1.
Those natives, Chicago natives, know the real name is the Sears Tower.
Define the real name.
It's the Sears
Pop
Tower.
up down the right field line. Coop ranging down the line. He makes the play. We got 1 out.
It's the Sears Tower, dude.
Now batting number
Willis Tower.
You haven't been in Chicago long enough to have a judgment on this. You can't have an opinion on it.
Okay.
You simply just cannot.
Whatever you say, man. Whatever you say. We are living in your world, aren't we?
We're in your world. I'm just living in it, man.
Oh, how is that?
Just living in it, man.
How so? How so?
You the man,
Let the
JT.
viewers know.
You're the man.
How so?
You're the man, dog. You are the man.
Wyatt blows a fastball by for strike 1. We got 1 out. I appreciate that, Bryce. That's a nice compliment from you right
Hey.
there. I appreciate that.
I let you know all the time. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up.
Fastball up. That'll make it 1-1. Saints, like I said, looking to close out the season strong. Skidded a little bit yesterday as you were with us on the broadcast. Fastball in is hit to left field. That'll drop down for a single.
Broken bat hit right there.
Those are the worst ones
Very
for
unfortunate.
pitchers, the best ones for hitters.
Dude, you do those all the time, though.
What do you mean? I got 2 the entire summer. I have 2.
I don't know about that.
2, I
I'd say
counted.
more like 6 or 7.
What do you mean?
I'd say almost like half of your
Are you
hits
trying
are
to
broken
discredit
bat
me?
hits.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, hit is a hit.
That's
Looks
true.
like a
That's
line
true.
drive in the scorebook.
That is true.
But, I mean, he broke a lot of bats, man. He cost the Saints a lot of money this
I
summer.
I did?
Yeah, man.
I think I only broke 3 bats.
That's
Maybe
tough.
4.
That's a lot.
In what, like 25 games?
That's a lot. I broke
Like,
one.
close to 100 plate appearances.
Congratulations, JT. Strike one from Wyatt.
Hey, man, we all know when you get in the lineup, it's a single every time. It knocks all over the place.
Yeah, man. All I do is hit. I'm trying to tell him, it's like I'm saying, I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to be like you, man.
Bryce actually had a nice moment of revelation early in the season. His first start, his second start, he had a line drive single up the middle. Remember, he came back to the dagger. He told me he didn't forget how to hit. That was reassuring. I'm glad he figured that out because it allowed him to be a big role on our team this summer.
Yeah, man, I thought I forgot for a second there, but I didn't. It all came back to me.
Bryce, who would you say are your role models? And don't a ball smack the center field. Jenkinson will get under it. We got 2 outs here. And do not say me because I know you don't mean that.
Oh, yeah, no, you're definitely not my role model.
Wow.
I mean,
In that case, you're not one of mine either. I was going to say you, but you know.
You told me not to say you. You literally just said don't say me.
Yeah, and then you said, oh, you're not.
I was going to say you, but you said don't say me.
No, you weren't.
I was.
Don't lie. I think
My
I now count 4 lies that Bryce Gray has told on this air alone.
I haven't lied once. My role model is definitely my parents, obviously. My parents.
Shout out to the parents.
Absolutely. My parents, I got to go with, man, let me think. Who else? Paul Konerko.
Okay.
One of the White Sox greats.
Yeah.
You know?
Wyatt flips a curveball in, swing and miss. We got 0-1 here.
I got to go with my homie AJ Reese. Shout out to AJ. I had to learn a lot of stuff from him.
Okay.
A good guy. Great guy. You know, that's my boy right there. What about you, JT? And you are too, though. You're one of my role models.
Okay.
I said I want to be like you, JT.
Yeah, I was going to say you're one of my role models, too.
I want to be like you. Wyatt gets a soft line drive to shortstop. Get the Saints out of the top of the
I
inning.
will get back to you guys on the role models as soon as we get to the bottom of the 4th in a bit.
No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. Bottom of the 4th inning from Lee.
All right, Saints fans, we're back here in the bottom of the 4th. We got Dalton Nay leading us off. Saints still holding on to a 2-1 lead.
And to get back to your last question, I got a couple more role models. Definitely
Okay,
Coach Cody Walther,
Oh, Cody.
third base coach
Great choice,
extraordinaire.
great choice.
And then definitely Troop. Coach Troop is that guy. So how about you?
Yeah, it's 2 great men right there. Dalton fouls the ball down the third base line. Goes
And Cody
0-1.
makes an error in the third base
Right
coach
on
box.
cue.
As I say, he's a role
That's
model.
your role model right there.
Yeah, for sure.
My role models. Definitely, like you said, my parents. I always like to please them.
Absolutely, always. Got to.
Don looks at ball 1 up and away. Other than that, Russell Westbrook is my favorite athlete. As we mentioned last night, I'm very into clothing design, and as I hope you can see when I'm on the field, I'm very competitive, so I feel like I can kind of relate to how he plays on the court and what he does off the court. So Russell Westbrook, in terms of athletes, Russell Westbrook would probably be the only one.
That's crazy because you really talk about Cam Newton every day.
I'm a big Cam fan. Big Cam fan. I wouldn't say that I can relate to him as much, given that he is, 6'6", 260 pounds of all muscle. But I'm definitely a big Cam fan. I'm a big Panthers fan because of Cam. Growing up until a couple years ago, we didn't really have a football team in LA, so I never.
Yeah, don't you got like 4 now?
We got two. The Rams, who are definitely on the come up, and the Chargers, who seem to be forever caught in the same position, just missing the playoffs. Yeah, I didn't really have a football team to root for, and when Cam Newton surfaced at Auburn, hopped on the bandwagon.
Dalton, they take strike 3 right there.
Hopped on the bandwagon and then said wherever he gets drafted to, I'll follow him there. So he ended up in Carolina. And
So you are a bandwagon fan?
Of Cam Newton, yes.
Okay. Understandable.
Can't think of another athlete that I would say I'm a bandwagon fan of, though. But Cam, yes, I will admit that.
I mean, I guess I could say I'm a bandwagon fan of Derrick Rose. Anywhere he goes, I'm gonna support him. Gotta support Chicago's finest.
He's a hometown guy. So
yeah, that's true.
that's definitely understandable. Cam obviously has no ties to Los Angeles, so I would say yours is more understandable than mine. But gotta root for who you gotta root for.
Absolutely.
Was devastated when they lost to the Broncos in 2015. That was rough.
Cam did not play well that day.
No, he certainly did not.
I was pretty upset as well.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely wanted Cam to win a Super Bowl. I think he'll get it one day.
I do too. Maybe this year.
I don't know about that.
Why not?
Because obviously the Chicago team is going all the way.
The Chicago. Okay.
The Bears.
I have to respect your loyalty to your hometown teams, but
always.
If we want to look at it across the board, every team you root for is pretty terrible right now. The White Sox, are they in last place?
That's a good question. If they aren't, they're second to last.
They have to be at least 20 games back in first place.
Yeah, we're about 30 games out of 500.
You go to the Bulls. It seems as though no one really likes to play for the Bulls. Every star player you get ends up leaving.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play for Fred Hoiberg either, but it is what it is. I got to still support.
Fulkerson smacks the ball, but it's right at the second baseman. We got 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th.
I mean, I was pretty upset when they got rid of Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
let him go.
Like I said, all these good players, they just don't want to play there. I don't know if it's, maybe they agree with me that the city of Chicago is not quite what they're looking for, or maybe they don't like the Bulls. But anyways, they're not a good team. They're not a good team.
I'm just going to let that go.
Okay.
There's no point in me.
Yeah, they're not a good team is the bottom line. And then you want to go to football. The Bears haven't made the playoffs since, 2010?
I mean, so who's your team? The Panthers, that's your team?
That's my team, yes.
I mean, in all honesty, the Panthers have ended up in the same place the Bears have every year.
No, the Panthers made the playoffs.
Yeah, but they ended up going home as non-champions.
Same
as the Bears, so they wasted their time.
Actually, in 2015, they were NFC champions. So, Chavez smacks the ball down the left field line, but it's going to hook foul. It does get over the fence, so Chavez has got some pop there. Been talking all season about hitting a home run. He said today's the day, being the last game. Let's see if he gets another fastball, and I would doubt it, given the way he turned on that one. Anyways, the Panthers made the playoffs.
I mean, but they ended up not Super Bowl champions, same as the Bears.
How many different coaches have the Bears had in the past 6 years?
That's actually a good question.
Yeah.
At least 3.
You could probably
four.
couldn't count on one hand.
I think it's 3.
Okay.
I mean, if we go like 8 or 9 years, probably 4.
Yeah. See, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for the Bears. That's embarrassing for the city of Chicago.
You're right. The Bears being bad it's not. We're not used to this in Chicago. We're just not.
No.
I mean, it is what it is.
It's kind of been the script as of late for pretty much, And we're not gonna. Obviously, the Cubs are very good, but you are not a Cubs fan.
I am a Cubs fan.
No, you cannot be a White Sox and a Cubs fan.
Why can't I? Why? Why can't I support my city?
You can't be both.
I mean, if you asking me if the White Sox and Cubs are playing each other, obviously I'm gonna be supporting the White Sox.
I know that because you're a White Sox fan.
But every time somebody's asked me that, I've said I will support the Cubs.
Smacks the ball in the 6th hole. That'll scoot through off the shortstop's glove, and he'll end up with a single.
I've said I'll support the Cubs if they're not playing the White Sox.
I'm going to be honest. I've never heard you say that.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
Well, I support the Cubs when they're not playing the White Sox. I watched the Cubs game today. I watched Anthony Rizzo hit a walk-off home run today, and I was happy. I was very happy. Because
you're a White Sox fan.
You're right, but I don't hate the Cubs. Where does it say that I have to hate the Cubs? There's nowhere that says that.
I'm just saying it's a little unorthodox to root for both teams in one city. It's
I love Chicago and everything that comes with it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you on who your team is because that's your preference. But
Who's your baseball team?
the Dodgers.
The
and
Dodgers? I
I
respect that.
I do not root for the Angels because I can't root for both. I root for
Says
the
who?
Dodgers. Says the unwritten rules of sports. Being a sports fan.
So I'm not a sports fan because I root for
Jank
both.
with a little check swing down the third base line, and third baseman bobbles it, and Jenkinson will reach by error. We now got first and second, two
Saints
outs
have a
for
2-out rally going.
USC incoming freshman Marco Martinez.
Now batting from USC, number 2, Marco Martinez.
I know you're excited to have Marco on the team next year, aren't you?
Most definitely, most definitely. It's been cool to get to know him this summer. He's got a good swing. He's got some good pop there.
He's going to be good for you guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. See if he can drive this run in, but he's really impressed me with his power. He puts balls over the net in batting practice, on top of the building. Got a smooth swing, smooth defensively. Excited to have him aboard.
He
And
threw.
Oh,
What a
diving
play by
the
the third baseman. Marco hit a shot. Third base made a diving catch. That's the end of the inning. Thanks fans for
that'll,
having us again.
That'll wrap our time up with me and my role model, Bryce Gray.
No runs,
Thank you,
no
guys.
hits, no errors.
Welcome back, everybody, to Arroyo Seco Saints baseball, live and on the air. My name is Ryan Osborne, and we were glad to be joined by the two, I guess you could say, the dynamic duo of Bryce Gray and John Thomas. Kind of an interesting dynamic there. Both guys who have, over the summer, turned into pretty good friends here as part of the Arroyo Seco Saints program. And the thing is that, I mean, you look at those two guys, and you look at the guy on the left, who is Bryce Gray, Notre Dame guy. John Thomas over to our right, a USC guy. As we get set for another interview in just a couple of moments. Over to my right-hand side, member of the coaching staff we'll get to in just a second as Wyatt Kelly goes into the line. Next delivery, that goes too high, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Coach, this season, unfortunate start, I guess you could say, but the second half has been a huge improvement for your squad.
Yeah, I think the guys have really kind of found their groove and matured. We've got several of the pitchers that have, seen an increase in velo. They're more comfortable on the bump. They're more comfortable with the staff. So, and the bats have really come around. Beginning of the season, the arms were ahead of the bats, but now we're really seeing guys just square up balls, and now the arms are a little tired. So.
Next delivery from Wyatt Kelly, and that's brought in just inside. So it will end up being a walk, and going up towards first will be Roosevelt Barnes. Coming up next will be the top of the lineup in Desmond Gates. And you talk about the increase in velocity, and that's what a lot of guys come to California baseball and summer baseball to try and help increase, to add to their repertoire.
Yeah, that's true. In today's game, you have to be able to bring the ball with a certain amount of heat. If that's your forte, if you're a spot guy and an off-speed guy, then you kind of already know that. But we get guys coming in here from schools, and they want to see, if they can expand and stretch it out and really hit some numbers for their coaches back in the fall.
Kelly brings the breaking ball outside half, called strike. 2-1 game. Arroyo Seco with the lead on top of the MLB Academy Barons. Wyatt Kelly goes into the set once more. Over towards the right-hand side, leading off is Roosevelt Barnes. Desmond Gates at the plate and a pickoff throw over at first, and Cooper Williams will handle it there. When you look at the way that each guy has kind of developed as the summer has gone along, how did you, at the beginning of the year, say, okay, I know I'm going to have a lot of different individuals with different agendas over the summer. How did you set a game plan so that way you can tailor it to each guy's needs?
Like a lot of things in this game, it's a process. So we basically are going into the season, and I think all collegiate coaches are going into the season, collegiate summer league coaches, you go in blind. You get a list of guys. They'll tell you kind of what they do. You'll talk to their coaches. They'll tell you what they've offered. Why they were brought to the school, and then we kind of just try to roll and match up where they're going to fit in a specific role. Definitely as a pitching staff, and it works its way out.
Kelly taking a long look over at first, and he'll check back. Williams handles it once more.
From the offensive standpoint, hitters are going to hit, and so we know which guys are good in certain situations. As far as pitchers, as a starter, huge upside. My boss, being a bullpen coach and a first base coach, Matt Troop, is a younger guy. Recently got offered a position at USD in San Diego, and so Troopy, being a high-level D1, actually NCAA baseball champion with Arizona, he knows how to relate to these guys.
Kelly once again back over to first, keeping Barnes close. And when you talk about all the different guys and what they were able to do over the summer, was there any surprises this year that you looked at?
Yeah, I mean, a couple big surprises.
Half swing as this is tossed back over towards second. Ball gets into center field. Jacob Jenkins will run over and make sure he backs it up. Unfortunately for the Saints, Roosevelt Barnes ends up going over to third. It ends up being a check swing and no contact being made for Desmond Gates, or excuse me, for Roosevelt Barnes. So Desmond Gates is now up. And Wyatt Kelly has himself a strikeout for out number one, but a runner down at third. That's Bruce Martin.
Surprises, John Thomas coming to us from USC is just one of those guys you label a gamer. The guy plays and has been playing through some nagging injuries, makes great contact. If there's a ball anywhere close to him, he's going after it. Drew Cali, a young guy we have from Cal Poly Pomona, has had a pretty phenomenal summer. Start off slow, it really heated up with the bat and the glove. And the gentleman I had mentioned earlier, young guy, probably youngest guy on the staff, Charles Peacock, has really kind of found himself. I think he came onto the team and felt a little overmatched, but he's really got a boost of confidence that we've seen lately.
Next delivery from Kelly, and it's a swing and a miss that is brought on by Desmond Gates. And when you mention Charles Peacock, I mean, you see these guys who come in. You have a lot of seniors, some juniors as well. How do you make sure that the incoming maybe freshmen or sophomores who come out to summer ball, they don't get intimidated by those overclassmen, as this gets shot into left field in between the legs of Colin Shepard, and it now ties up the game, as coming across to score is Bruce Martin from third. So that will be an E6 charged to Shepard, and a runner over at first with Daniel Harris up next.
With the younger guys, the guys who just came out of high school, and some of your freshmen, they're going to be sophomores, you don't want to put them in a situation where they're just going to get it handed to them and they're going to fail. We like to have situations where we can bring those guys in if it's a pitcher, or put those guys in a game if they're on the defensive side and they're a hitter, when we kind of know the opponent. We don't want them to come in, get overmatched, and get their confidence to get crushed right out of the gate. That's no good for anybody.
There goes Wyatt Kelly, breaking ball. towards the middle half. And it's no balls, 1 strike with 1 gone, and a 2-2 tie. We are currently in the 5th inning, and they're looks like waiting on the scoreboard for a second. Nonetheless, Wyatt Kelly goes into the set, and he'll take a look at Bennett McCaskill. McCaskill looking for that outside half, and instead a check over at first. Two-two tie, top half of the 5th inning in what is the final game of the season for the Arroyo Seco Saints. Kelly fighting off the sun as he takes a look towards McCaskill. Brings it home just a shade too high. When you see a guy like, as you mentioned, Blake Beers earlier, he goes through his freshman season at one of the bigger schools in the entire nation, University of Michigan. Comes out here looking for a little bit more time to be able to pitch. How do you kind of tailor to that where you say, okay, you already have what they're doing with their D1 program, but we also want some value here with us trying to get into the playoffs at the time?
Yeah, you have to make sure first and foremost you're using someone else's player. So you have to make sure that you avoid injury at all cost. You don't put a guy who's got heavy innings. You don't rely a lot on him to pitch for you in the summer. Most of the guys we've gotten on the staff have been somewhat fresh. Blake's a guy who needed to get in a lot of work. By coincidence, obviously, you know that our skipper, that Sean Bueller, has coached both Timmy Post and Blake Beers in their high school career. So that being said, you take a lot of what Sean says about what he's seeing. He talks to Matt Troop, our pitching coach. Hey, this is what I'm seeing, and can relate to those two guys. Other guys, you're going to have to go off of their feel and how they're going about putting in their work as to kind of the load you put on them.
Chopped over towards second. Here's Gabe Chavez. He'll step on the bag. Not in time. They do get the out over at first. However, it is not a double play, and there will be just a runner at second base in scoring position with Joshua Banuelos up next.
In regards to pitchers, you know, again, first and foremost, they're somebody else's player. They've got a career ahead of them. We're going to use them, but the Saints' philosophy is we're not going to burn a guy out to get a title. We're not going to burn a guy out to get into the playoffs. Doesn't help the player. It's not what we're about. We're about development. I think that the league knows that. The staff knows that. And I think we get players from quality programs because their coaches know we're going to treat their guys the right way. If they're working on something, a pitch here or there, we're going to have them explore that. If it's a velo thing, we can get them to increase it. We're going to work on some mechanical things. We don't take a guy and change everything they're doing. We just come alongside, try to lift them up and maybe modify and adjust a few things and have them enjoy success. So
that ball got rocketed over to second. Gabe Chavez able to make the relay on to first, and that'll do it for the top half of the inning. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, it will be the Saints coming up to the dish, and it's a 2-2 tie in the bottom of the 5th. The walk-up song of Cameron Briggs as he comes up to the plate.
I'm back, man.
Steven Baltiera to our right-hand side. As the MLB Academy goes to deliver to Cameron Briggs, and Briggs will take on the inside half.
It's been a solid 2.5 innings away from the broadcast, but I'm finally back on. Gotta say I missed it. Last few innings here at the Arroyo Seco Saints, so last few innings, the broadcast, it'll be a great time.
Steven was over here for a minute. He went, took a nap, went out, got himself one of those personal pizzas, came back.
I wish. I wish.
Could have sworn he went down to Anaheim, finished off that Angel game, and still made it back in time. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 innings right there. We're going to have Nick Lacayo on next in the top half of the 6th inning, and we're going to have our graphic design intern, David Ortez, on the 7th inning. So a lot of guests here in this final game of the broadcast of the season right now for the Saints. So it'll be our, like you said, it'll be our last game as well. So a little bit of a sentimental moment for us.
There are tears.
No, it's going to be onwards and upwards, but still a nice little ball game here, 2-2 ball game, so fairly competitive to this point.
There goes Rosales into the line, and Briggs stays alive as he fouls it off to the right. And one thing to notice, I mean, you don't really get a sense of it when you're behind home plate or maybe helping set up as an ops guy as well. But you don't realize how the field kind of lies until you get out there and you're actually shagging fly balls, taking batting practice, playing catch out there. As Rosales once again brings it home, and it will be a walk that is issued to Cameron Briggs. So he'll trot down to first. Coming up next is Colin Shepard.
Yeah, it's very spacious out there. From right here, it doesn't look that crazy. You know, it looks like a pretty fairly small field, but you actually get down out there, it's pretty spacious and a lot bigger and a lot harder than you think it would be to play baseball out here.
And not to mention, one thing that I noticed earlier is if you're tossing a ball in from the outfield and it hits the grass, it's dying.
Very much.
This is popped up behind home plate, trying to get to the ball. Waving hair and all is Argumedo.
It's a nice little flow he has there.
I have no reply. No balls, 1 strike, as popping that one up was Colin Shepard. But I noticed that on some of the flies out in left field earlier today, the ball would pop up from the batting cage, go out to left field, hit the grass, and just stick.
Yeah, very thick grass here.
Very
you can
thick
see
grass.
at the cutting right here, the dirt right here behind home plate. It's very, very just thick and not very. It's a lot of slow rolls you're going to get in the outfield right there. A lot of bad hops as well you're going to get. It's not Dodger Stadium over here where the grass is maybe 2 centimeters thick, but it's very thick here, and it's also it just plays into, I guess, a pitcher's hand, I guess you could say.
And it's interesting to note because one guy here, and we know him as Gotti, as this one goes left-hand side, trying to pick it up is Matson. He'll throw across just in time to clip Colin Shepard. Cameron Briggs ends up going up towards second. It's the sacrifice, and there's a runner in scoring position. But Gotti is out here pretty much every day, cutting the grass, making sure that it has the proper nutrition.
Very much. I mean, he's one of those guys that does it all for the Saints and also just Pasadena in general. He just loves this field and loves Pasadena baseball, and you know he has a bright future out here. I kind of want to get him on the broadcast as well for the final game. I'm pretty sure, knowing his personality, he probably would not want to be on the broadcast, but one of the guys that deserves some recognition here for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
But the reason why we also mention him is that he's taken care of this grass so well throughout the entire grass is thicker. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, Brooklyn's with the Brookside hop, how this field actually was a lot worse years ago. That players did not want to play here as Briggs kind of slaps that one foul down the right field line. The first baseman shades over and gets kind of tangled up as he eats it right there by the dugout. Ball foul, lands foul, so it'll be a strike on Briggs. But, I mean, Tom Stafford was telling us about this field about 4 or 5 years ago and about how they had to do so many renovations around this place just to get it kind of suitable for college baseball. And I mean, in Pasadena City College plays here. Maranatha High School plays here. The Arroyo Seco Saints play here. There's a lot of different players, a lot of different teams that use this field, and it takes a beating. That's a lot of beating on for a lot of months. We do in the summer. You have from probably January all the way to May, you have the baseball season going on. So a lot of different teams use this field, a lot of beating, and a lot of wear and tear on this field, and it takes a lot to really keep it up. And Tom Stafford and those guys, Aaron Milam, have really done a lot to try to keep this field and improve it to a suitable standard.
And it's done well so far. And it only serves it right, considering that it is Jackie Robinson Field in
Yes.
such a historical place, of which we have gone over many times throughout the course of the year. As this is bounced over towards short, it's going to make its way down towards Bruce Martin, who makes the toss over to first, and it will be in time, which brings up Cooper Williams on the sacrifice.
And we talk about the rich history this place has. I mean, the White Sox hosted their spring training here years ago, back in the 1940s, I believe, or 20s. I might have been the 20s. I'm not too sure. We had a Major League Baseball teams hosting their spring training here. Jackie Robinson, his legacy in Pasadena. The historic Rose Bowl right behind us. I mean, this place and this atmosphere right here just kind of reeks of sports history. And I think it's only right to keep that up and also improve on it every year and make this place even more and more special to come to.
Well, I mean, when you talk about that, a lot of people don't even know the historical markers throughout this entire region. I mean, let alone Pasadena. I mean, just yesterday I was at kind of a miniature concert, if you will, over at the Shrine Auditorium, the Shrine Expo Hall as well. If you ask the average USC student what the Shrine is, none of them will know unless they say, oh, it's the parking structure over down the right-hand side and off of Figueroa. And you realize this thing was made in like the 20s.
Yes.
And it's one of the most renowned venues in all of California and all the world as well.
Yeah.
Same thing as we mentioned for the stadium behind us,
Yes,
the Rose Bowl. It sits there, over 100 years old, historical marker here in Pasadena. The bridge down the street, nearly 100 years old as well. The street names, Arroyo and Seco,
Yes.
both of them.
Yeah, just a lot of rich history here in Pasadena, and especially where we're standing right now. I think it's important to appreciate that history. As far as the position we're in right now, broadcasting games here, I think we have to appreciate that, and also I need to be more exposed on a more bigger level here in Southern California, just how important Brookside Park, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and Arroyo Seco is right here, right now.
Cooper Williams ends up grabbing a walk, and Dalton Ney is up next as he gets set after he had a double last time up.
They're going to
And
walk Dalton Ney there.
They will have an intentional pass given. Not something that you see every day to the number 5 hitter in the lineup, but nonetheless, coming up next will be Bobby Fulkerson. And I guess if you're the Barons of MLB Academy, you're picking your poison.
Yes.
Because this is a guy in Bobby Fulkerson who last time he came up, or actually 2 times ago, he sent an RBI single into center field on the first pitch.
And I know it's not really related to that, but obviously Bobby Fulkerson, one of the best hitters in the second half of the season for the Saints, but his walk-up song playing right now has to be one of the best walk-up songs I've ever heard in my life. The Cops reality TV show, Bad Boys walk-up song is playing. That is an absolute touch to go along with his mustache that he recently shaved.
And, I mean, you talk about that. It wasn't, you know, the butt of jokes. It was the actual thing for this team.
Yes.
Everybody knew that mustache. They
Yes.
knew if you mentioned to anyone in the CCL who has the best mustache, they may not be able to name his name,
Oh, they know him,
but
though.
they would know, oh, it's that guy on Arroyo Seco.
Yeah, he was definitely related, and also part of it, who he was that mustache. He shaved it off, but obviously the bat has not slowed down as the superstition might creep in for these players, but he's still hot, so you see him over there grounded over to second base, and that might be the end of the inning right there. But Bobby Fulkerson, obviously one of those guys, can go two-way, play on the mound and also at the plate. We'll be back in the top of the 6th inning, though. With Nick Lacayo, you'll be interviewing Nick Lacayo next inning, catcher for the Arroyo Seco Saints from Michigan State.
Joseph Argumedo will be the first guy due up for the MLB Academy Barons. And after him will be Hunter Lewis and Trevor Matson as well. Right now I'm being joined by Michigan State's own Nick Lucayo. And Nick, you come out here to summer baseball. What
Yes.
was your number one goal?
For summer baseball, this is my going into my senior season, and you know, every summer I've gone different places. I went from Colorado out to Ventura, and then here. And for me, it was mostly just to have fun and meet people and really just enjoy the game.
As this gets flown out into left field, and that will be out number one as Dalton Ney ends up picking up on the ball and he makes the catch. So up next is Hunter Lewis. When you come to the Arroyo Seco Saints, was there anyone right off the bat that you said, oh, I know this guy from this place?
Immediately, no. There wasn't any people that I knew, but there was people that I had connections with. Coach Troop played for U of A, played for a coach that I played for in junior college, Josh Garcia. But other than that, mostly guys that I had a friend that played for New Mexico State. We got a couple of New Mexico State guys on our team, so there's connections everywhere.
And you talk about being in the junior college circuit. Where did you play junior college?
I played junior college at South Mountain Community College in Phoenix, Arizona. I was there for 2 years. It was fantastic. It was awesome.
You go from South Mountain, Phoenix,
Yes.
105 sometimes, even more.
Never having to worry about a rainy day or a cloudy day. Just every day showing up, and it's perfect baseball weather. But out in Michigan,
This day, maybe not.
yeah, of course. For fall or for practices, there's always okay. Well, in the forecast, this possibly might be a better inside day. We could go outside this day, and taking advantage of the sunny days is always huge for us. And then going into the season, our first couple weeks we're away, but then when we get back, it's been cold, but you know, got to play through it.
When you go up to Michigan State, what was the first thing that impressed you?
First thing that impressed me about just the organization and how much time and effort people put into letting us play the game of baseball. It was how many people take their time and effort into making it the best experience for us.
As Hunter Lewis ended up swinging and missing, so he went down on strikes, and there are two gone. Trevor Matson up next, and he knocks this one over towards third. Marco Martinez will pick it up, toss to first, and that'll do it for the top half of the sixth. Ryan Osborne joined by Nick Lucayo. We're going to come back with the bottom half of the sixth inning. It's a 2-2 tie between the Arroyo Seco Saints and the MLB Academy Barons.
Now batting for the Saints from Cal State, San Bernardino. Number 1, Gabe Chavez.
Out of Michigan State. And Nick, when you look at Michigan State, of course, being with the Spartans, that has a lot of history in and of itself.
Yes.
Being at or in Lansing, Michigan, when you have to go up against big-time opponents, obviously this last year you don't end up facing the other school in Michigan, as this is deep towards left field. Gabe Chavez puts a charge in it, and he'll get a ground rule double. That goes right to the edge of the track, and Chavez just misses a home run for the second time in as many at-bats. But when you have those big-time rivalries, what's it like to be able to play in those where you say, hey, I know that there's a huge history behind this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, going out there, I was never really involved in the Big Ten, being for teams. But when you go out there and you play with these guys, and you go to this school with so much culture, you really don't. You always just want to play the game hard, no matter what team you're playing for. But playing against Ohio State and Michigan, you want to beat them so much more because there's a big group of people around you that support you and want you to win.
Jacob Jenkins at the dish. He's going to show bunt, push it up the first base side. He's trying to beat out Hunter Lewis. He gets the sacrifice down, and Gabe Chavez will move over to third. Marco Martinez up next. And when you mention that big-time fan base, of course, you go from Lansing all the way down here to Southern California. Just another stop in the road for you in your baseball career. But you come down here and you see how, I guess, Cal Summer Baseball develops different guys.
Yes.
When you came out here, what kind of changed in the mentality going from junior college, Division I, and now summer baseball again?
I think the biggest thing was just having fun with the game. That was the biggest thing that I noticed with this summer baseball was just how much the guys love the game and love to be out here. And it's a great place to be out here in California. Off days, going to the beach, hanging out, beautiful weather down here in Pasadena, and just getting to play 6 days a week with guys who love the game is amazing.
As you have moved along in the summer, of course, just 2 months, 40 games is as much time as you get to bond with your brand new teammates. How did you set aside some time or maybe an event with the other guys to make sure that you had that teammate bond with them?
Well, traveling down from Simi Valley, which is about 40 miles, I was able to spend nights over at teammates' houses and we went down to Santa Monica a couple days ago and we had an off day. And that's just a great time to, really bond with the teammates. And that's really what I liked about this summer was how much fun the guys had.
This one goes low and in the dirt. Rosales still out there. What will be the memory that you take away?
From this summer, I think more than any summer has been, once again, getting to the field and the energy the guys bring. There was never seemed like there was a bad day. Even when we had the losing streaks, it always seemed like guys wanted to get better, and that really made every single day that much awesome.
And when you mention that, I mean, just the last two guys who were here on the radio, it was Bryce Gray, John Thomas, USC Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
When you notice that there are these guys who are from different spectrums of different rivalries all across the country, and yet you guys all came together as one team and became the Arroyo Seco Saints. What did that feel like for you?
At first it's a little bit different, but I knew Bryce coming in just from playing against him. And all you know is, oh, I've seen that guy in the other dugout before. I've never, been on his team, never talked to him in the dugout. And it's different. You get to talk about, well, what's Notre Dame like? What's USC like? And really get to talk about their players and their coaches and their program overall.
Being a catcher, do you feel like catchers have their own brotherhood in the game of baseball?
Oh, definitely. It's a tough position back there. And when you see a guy, especially during summer ball, working hard, and, it's 101 outside and you might be down, but the catcher behind the plate's still working hard, and I get up to bat, I always make sure to tell him, hey, keep working hard. You're doing a really good job back here. Because sometimes it goes unnoticed from fans and other players. Well, It's his job back there. Well, it isn't always easy, you know.
And when you talk about that, it's never easy to play any sport. But the thing is that with the catcher, the way that it has evolved over time in the game of baseball, in the early, 1910s through the 1940s, guys would think, or managers would think, okay, we'll put the least athletic guy there. But no, over the last 50 years, it has turned into the most athletic guy on the field is behind the plate.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the, I guess, position of catching is more athletically taxing?
Yes. Just the wear and tear on the body is in itself one of the hardest things to do, because not every day your body's going to feel good, and you're still expected to stop the ball, catch the ball, support your pitchers, and you're expected to do so much and make sure your pitcher's locked in, the players are locked in, talking to the umpire. It's all around a tough position.
This morning, the Anaheim Angels, or I guess Los Angeles Angels, ended up bringing a catcher up from Salt Lake City, and he immediately had to figure out a game plan because the starting catcher was traded away to the Houston Astros and Martin Maldonado. He had to figure out a game plan and also started this afternoon. For a catcher, how quickly are you able to come up with a pitching plan or a game plan for an afternoon ball game?
Well, for a summer game like this, if I get the nod before the game, I would watch batting practice. Usually about the first 7, 8 guys are usually in the lineup. Maybe they have a couple guys in the back half. But just seeing their swings, where they're hitting the ball, where they are, and also getting in the box. When they get in the box, where are their feet at? What do their swings look like? Within the first couple pitches, their swings they put on the ball, you're able to tell, all right, where are they trying to hit the ball? What pitch are they looking for? Are they late? Are they early? And with that, you're able to make a plan as the game goes.
Do you ever, being back at Michigan State, do you ever have that time to be able to maybe get out a notebook and try and write it down? Or are you more of a, you know what, I'll memorize it, and by the time I get to the field, I'll have it in my head?
You're talking about with the approach for pitching to hitters, correct?
Yes.
So at Michigan State, our coaches do call pitches. And
Okay.
so, but before the game, we'll say, all right, with this guy, try to set up a little more in and see how that goes. We can adjust from there. But for me, it's all about making sure my pitcher is getting his pitches in the correct spot. If I need to set up more outside or more inside, give him a better target to make sure his pitches are getting in the right place.
And when you mention that target, lately you see a lot of catchers who maybe get not necessarily lazy, but they're just not presenting that target as well as a lot of coaches would like. How do you make sure that you present a good target for a pitcher?
I just got to communicate with them and ask them in between. Because pitchers sometimes, they don't want to talk to you about, well, maybe you should do this better. Because, not every guy wants to hear that feedback. And just talk to them, hey, am I giving you a better target here? Would it be better if I gave you a higher target on your curveball? And just communicate with him.
When a lot of people look at the game of baseball, some naysayers say, hey, the catcher just sits back there and they just catch the ball that the pitcher throws. When you look at a baseball game, and obviously watching it from afar here tonight, when you look at a baseball game, are you mentally breaking down whenever a batter is coming up, even if you're not in the game?
Oh, yes, definitely. Just because I always see the game from a catcher's point of view. And then I'll be in the dugout getting some water or something. Maybe I'm in the bullpen, and I'll see a swing and swing on the other team, and I'll be like, oh, man, we got to throw him a fastball here, or we got to throw him a breaking ball here. He was late on that. Or I'll even remember the previous at-bat, and I'll let the guy go. I'll be like, hey, Shep, he went to third last time.
And when you talk about that, is there also a decent amount of communication between catchers and infielders as well?
Definitely. Yes, the catcher is definitely the captain of the infield, and letting guys know that they last at bat went to short, or even, their leadoff guy gets up, you got to let the third baseman know, hey, be ready for the bunt here.
Here's Cameron Briggs putting a drive into this one towards deep left center field. It will be caught, but coming home to score is Gabe Chavez, and that will be the go-ahead run for the Arroyo Seco Saints. So there you have it. The Saints have taken the lead, and it's now a 3-2 ball game. And coming up next for Arroyo Seco, we're going to have a new guy in.
San Diego State, number 11, Angelo Armenta.
So Angelo Armenta is in. Guy who was at USC for a little while, then now is going to go down to San Diego State, play out his 5th year. And earlier I was talking to you about the different communication between catchers and also infielders. When you're throwing down towards second base and there's a runner moving towards second, what is the first thing that triggers in your mind when you realize that he's running?
Definitely, well, I always give him a peek over at first to see how far is his lead. You can usually tell by body language if a guy's going to be stealing. Unless they're a really, really good base stealer, they won't give it away. But usually you can tell in the way they're standing and the way their feet are that, all right, this guy definitely wants to steal this base right here. So I'm ready. I mean, let's say Cooper gets on first base for our team. You know, most guys will be like, all right, he's not going to steal. I can sit back a little bit and, you know, focus on blocking in front of him. But a quick guy gets on, and you're definitely going to expect it more. Got to hear from the infielders and be ready to throw.
Marco Martinez over at first will end up going up towards second as a pickoff attempt goes awry and in towards the right field corner, which makes it a runner in scoring position with 2 outs and a 3-2 lead for the Saints. Angelo Armenta is at the plate, a left-handed hitter, as Christian Lucio is the new guy on the mound for the MLB Academy Barons. And when you're tossing down to second, what is the catcher's trick to differentiate when a runner's going and peeking around a guy who's left-handed versus having that open window when there's a batter who's right-handed?
Definitely when a guy's right-handed and hitting, you definitely get a better look at the runner. And when a left-handed hitter's hitting, you really got to rely on the dugout and the first baseman to communicate with you and be loud and tell you when the runner's moving.
As that one goes outside, Angelo Armenta, he will be on base, and now there are runners on first and second. And coming up next is Bennett McCaskill. Earlier you mentioned that you see games through a catcher's point of view. When you see a guy like Bennett McCaskill be behind home plate, or maybe even Bryce Gray behind home plate, and you're sitting in the bench, do you ever go up to them and say, hey, this guy, he was swinging like this earlier, so maybe you want to try and help or try and throw this pitch instead?
Oh, definitely. We're always trying to help each other out, no matter if it be mechanically or a game plan. It's always either Troop or us. We're always talking. Bennett's always giving me little heads up here. Mitch does a really good job of, he's an older guy, and he does a really good job of helping guys on our team, not only catchers, but everyone as a whole, making them better.
That goes outside for Lucio, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 gone. The lights here at Jackie Robinson Field just starting to take effect as twilight is settling into the Pasadena Basin. Next delivery for Lucio, and he bounces that one home. And speaking of which, on those bouncers, for a catcher, what is the most important thing to move when you realize that a pitch is going to go in the dirt?
For me, the first 2 things I definitely want to get my glove down. There's nothing worse than ball going through your legs, and then the second would be just to get the knees down.
As this ball ends up being flown out towards left, and that will do it for the inning. The Saints end up getting a run across, and they have put up a 3-2 lead in the bottom half of the 6th. We're going to go to the top of the 7th, but first we want to thank Nick Lacayo for joining us on the broadcast. As we go to the top of the 7th, it's the Saints 3 and the Barons 2.
Welcome back to the broadcast here in the top of the 7th inning. Arroyo Seco Saints are leading 3-2 over the Academy Barons here. Today, right now, I'm going to be joined by the graphic design intern for the Arroyo Seco Saints, David Ortiz, also known by David, coming in. It's National Intern Day, so we got to give a little bit of on a regular basis with the Arroyo Seco Saints.
Let's see. Do you want to go like literally specific details? I guess so. I show up here like 3 hours before. Wait a little bit, help set up, and then I get the lineup, make the lineup graphic. Then I get the pictures from Emily or Julia, make the score updates. Honestly, like that's it. Been day out, day out. But literally before that, it was a bunch of planning, a bunch of like methodical, strategic planning with Tom, where we're like, okay, how can we make this Instagram, Twitter, Facebook very consistent across all 3 platforms? So it was just, what style has Tom made right now, and how can I evolve from that? And that's really where the process started. And like right now, if you look at all our social media, it's kind of, has this consistent look. Like you got these overlays, you got these headlines, but that's always been the thought process, to give us like a consistent feel on all our platforms.
That's Wyatt Kelly now on the mound for these Saints. 0-2 count on Cameron Dean as he slaps that one over to shortstop. The shortstop, Angelo Armenta, picks it up before it hits the ground for the first out here in the top of the 7th inning. My name is Stephen Baltier. We've been joined by Nick Lacayo, Coach David Andrews.
It's been a circus today.
Been a circus today, man. Last game of the season, David. And obviously,
you got to have some fun with it, though.
Got to have fun, man. The Saints are not going to obviously be in the playoffs. Both of these teams are eliminated going forward in the season, so the last game for both teams. But got to show you some love and got to give some bright spots to some of our intern. Also, how hard is it to make those graphics? Do you make those graphics ahead of time, or were those graphics already made by someone in the intern, or Tom, or even Nick Orman?
So yeah, like I said, Tom kind of gave me the baseline. I think what he made before was, and I'm getting super specific, but he would make pre-game stuff like, oh, today there's a game. Yeah. Then he would make stuff like, oh, there's an in-game interview. But I took it from there. Like I said, okay, what have you done so far? What could I do to improve that? Everything that you've seen, like those lineups, those score updates, that final score, that player of the game, that's all like what Tom has done, but my spin on it. So the template's already there. It's all about, during the games, all it is like changing the information, changing the pictures, but they're already pre-made in that sense. But they're definitely like things we've never done before, like things that Arroyo Seco is like, just starting out doing. So that's the kind of the exciting part, is that, Tom talks about it a lot. Like he's never seen his Twitter, his Instagrams like this, and he's like, very proud. I'm proud of it. It's been a fun process for sure.
3-0 pitch now to Bruce Martin. It's a strike in there, so a 3-1 count on Bruce Martin. David. I know I'm giving you kind of your Instagram shout on
Yeah, follow at dah.bid. That'd be pretty cool if we get all. I think we got 17 viewers on here. That'd be nice if we could get 17 viewers. More followers.
There'll be more, man. There'll be over 200 by the end of the night, so they'll definitely hear the David as Bruce Martin swings and misses on that changeup. So a 3-2 count on Bruce Martin. Final game of the season, National Intern Day. Got to bring on David Ortiz.
I wish I was out there. That'd be pretty fun.
David Ortiz.
I mean, we had that BP earlier, and I was honestly very surprised.
We did have the BP earlier.
I have not swung a bat since I'll tell you 12.
When is the last time you played baseball? You were 12 years old.
I never played.
Never played.
I swung a bat, just messing around. As a kid, I was always interested in every sport, and I only swung when I was 12 for like a month. So the fact that I got contact on every ball, I'm like wearing that on my sleeve. Like that's just great. But it was very fun. I golf on the side, so maybe that helped. Or maybe the fact that Bueller was, throwing some 40-mile-per-hour pitches. I don't know.
Nice hand-eye coordination to do golf, man. I don't blame you on that one. I can't do golf, so I give you props to that. As Wyatt Kelly walks Bruce Martin there on 7 pitches. Not going to lie to you, man.
Competitive game. These two teams are laying it all out in the final game of the season, and that's all you can ask for,
A small battle within the overall CCL picture. This is the battle for 6th place, so not much going on here. This is the battle for 6th place. Half game left, half game splits the team, so whoever wins this game is going to win the 6th place.
That's why they pay the marketing people. You got to create interest somehow.
You got to create some interest, man. Wyatt Kelly now gets that 1-1 count on Roosevelt Barnes. One out here in the top of the 7th inning. Kelly with a long stare, long pause, throws over to first base, but Bruce Martin back in time. Another pretty conservative lead over there at first.
To continue those shout-outs, I'd like to say that we call him Red on the team. Well, Coach calls him Red on the team, but he was the most impressive. I would say Tommy was the most impressive. He got about half of his balls out there in the
Tommy was
in the deep. He got one in deep left. I think it was like 300. I would say.
Yeah, Tommy was out there putting good wood on the bat. Fastball just below the knees there, so a 2-1 count now here on Roosevelt Barnes. Yeah, man, the BP session was a lot of fun. Tommy was out there swinging it. You were out there swinging
That
it.
was crazy. I was actually due up, and he's like, no, I got this. And I was like, oh, big boss man coming in to, upstage me a bit. But no, it was fun.
2-1 count. Wyatt Kelly gets set now. Runner at first base is Bruce Martin. At the plate, Roosevelt Barnes. The 2-1 pitch now. Fastball swung and a miss there from Barnes, so a 2-2 count. So going forward, what is your plans going forward then? Obviously, you go to Cal Poly Solo, so you're San Luis Obispo up there in the Central California. What are you trying to do post-graduation?
Post-graduation, so that's an answer that's, ever evolving. But as of now, I think I have two fronts that I kind of call it. I would say that, I'm very interested in the entertainment industry. And, I love stuff like Disney and all of that. So that's actually a route where I'd love to be able to get into Disney somehow. But then I have this sports route where, like, I've grown up with sports my whole life. It'd be very great to be in the sports industry. And then combine that with education. Like, right now I'm a marketing major, and I'm also a graphic designer on the side. So if I can combine a life interest with education, that'd be the best bet. So just looking at that, obviously you would look at the Dodgers. You look at the, some of my favorite teams, the Dodgers, Lakers, Cowboys fan. And then you go, in the entertainment side, if I could do Disney or Marvel or ESPN even, that would combine everything, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely going there and definitely trying to, use graphic design in any way I can. Or, I think Tom's thrown this word out a lot, creative director. I've always thought of that, like, wow, that's interesting, where you kind of are telling people, hey, this is the vision I have, you're the execution part of it. But it's more from a strategic standpoint, which is very, high level, very cool to me. But honestly, as a third year going into my fourth year, it's all about, you just being open to things. You never know. You really never know in life. You want to go the route, that's preferred. But if an opportunity comes up that's, something you can't pass up, I'd definitely do that. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Barnes grounds this one over to shortstop. Armena back
Turn it.
to Chavez over to first base with a double play there. So a 6-4-3 double play ends the top of the seventh inning. We'll be back in the bottom of the seventh inning. We have David
We'll
Ortez.
get it right by the end of this.
David Ortez back on the broadcast in the bottom of the seventh inning. Arroyo Seco leads MLB Academy Barons 3-2 here at Brookside Park. We pick things up back in the bottom of the fifth inning now. Excuse me, the bottom of the seventh inning. Arroyo Seco leads 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons. Stepping up to the plate now is the big first baseman, Cooper Williams, and we're joined again by David Ortez, our graphic design intern. He is over there in between innings making graphics for us, so shows you how hard he works on the regular basis over there for the games. First pitch is a fastball low and outside, so 1-0 the count on Williams. So, David, we were talking about what you want to do kind of post-grad. You want to get maybe into the entertainment or the sports kind of side. Have you always been a sports fan? Has sports always been a passion of yours growing up since you were a little kid?
Well, I feel like everyone kind of grows up with something. And I feel like sports, you would think that, oh, that's, a cop-out answer. But definitely, as soon as I was birthed, my dad's like, you're going to like sports. You're going to watch football, basketball, baseball. And then I got into soccer on my own. So just, being, a connoisseur of sports, I would say. You just love everything about it. It's a great representation of life, That's the kind of a thing all these coaches say. But it's true. Like, you watch it and you kind of can apply it to a lot of things in life. And it's great. Like, the thing is, you can't predict these things. You'll never know what you'll see in these games, and that's kind of that's the best part of it to me.
So Williams there has walked on 5 pitches.
Lee
So a leadoff walk to start the bottom of the 7th inning. That's going to bring up Dalton Ney. As you coined the nickname, big game Ney.
Well, actually, I got to shout out Henry. Henry called him Big Game Nate.
Okay,
I
Henry's
just took
the
it
one.
from there. Lee Flames Baseball knows us very well, but we got Nasty Nay, we got Big Play Nay.
Big Play
I think we got a few of them, but he is definitely a fan favorite, I would say.
Dalton Ney slaps that one down the left field line, but foul, so 0-1 the count on Ney. Yeah, Henry are one of our calm media interns, one of the biggest personalities we've had so far.
He's a character. He's a character, and that's honestly like all of our team, the players, the interns. We're all characters, and everyone makes it work. Everyone works hard. Everyone, it's a good group. And, you come to work and you have fun. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be like bored.
Yeah, exactly. Dalton Ney fouls that one down the left field line. Talk about the camaraderie among the interns. How has this experience kind of transformed you and made you, going forward back to slow? Obviously, everybody's going to go back to their normal lives and their normal routines, but how has this internship over the summer kind of made you a different person or just made you a better overall work and an employee?
I was actually thinking of that. At SLO, I have only 5 coworkers, I would say. I work in kind of like an office. I do graphic design there. But it was very, I was thinking about it. Like, it wasn't as work, you kind of work in retail. You I'll have a bunch of coworkers. Like, you have different shifts and all that. Here, it was cool because, I see different faces every day.
Yeah.
And you got to learn them. You got to learn how to work with them every time. It's not the same thing every time back at SLO. So learning to adapt to those things, that's my biggest takeaway is, one day maybe the guy you like isn't going to be there, or maybe one day the guy who's really, really good at, I got a graphic, I'm waiting for you, versus the guy who's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And everyone kind of learned their role too here. It was very nice to see, like, even me, I was struggling at first with okay, what do I do as a designer? Because, granted, we're very limited with maybe Wi-Fi or logistics, but it was just fun to, adapt in that sense. And I think that built me for, going to SLO, like, hey, maybe I can adjust. Maybe I don't have to have everything set in stone for me all the time. Things move just like life.
1-2 count now here on Dalton Ney. Christian Lucille on the mound for the MLB Academy Barons. At first base is Cooper Williams, the big first baseman, as Dalton Ney swings and misses over that slider for strike 3. So the first out here, recorded by Dalton Ney, and now it's going to make way for Tristan Peterson.
To go a little color here, this is another guy who's been pretty hot recently. I think he has 5 home runs on the year, I'd say.
Tristan Peterson has 5. We can go ahead and double check that right now. I will look up the stats.
It would make me sound smarter, but I have noticed he's launched a few out of here.
No, Tristan Peterson does have more than 1 home run so far this season. He is one of the better power hitters for the Saints so far this season. Him and his teammate from New Mexico State at first base, Cooper Williams, are both one of the biggest power hitters so far this season for the Saints. So
it's got to be pretty scary that you're a pitcher and you see, okay, who we got in the 4th spot? Oh, Tristan. Who we got in the 5th spot? Oh, Cooper. Whoa.
And you added that. Obviously this team underwhelmed as far as expectations, but you put Drew Calley out there. You put John Thomas, who was an all-star. A lot of this lineup was a lot of good hitters in this lineup, but just didn't always pan out at the right time. My next question, I guess, is what is your thoughts on this team looking over the course of the season?
Well, obviously the record doesn't reflect a lot of good things, but I think it's one of those things. It's tough. Summer ball, you have 40 games to figure out, where you are, where you stand, who's the best pitchers, or who, pitches well off another guy, what hitters hit off well off another guy. That's tough to figure out. If you figure that in game, 30, you're out of luck. You have 10 games where you're at your best. So I look at it. It was a very talented team. It's just one of those things. It's summer ball. You can't give these guys too hard, of critique. They came out. I saw them play hard at least every day. And it was a good group of guys. I think that's the main thing. They all got along well. It was one thing if if there's a losing record and everybody hates each other.
Yeah.
I did not see that at all. I think everyone gets along well, and they'll move on and learn from these things. I think that's kind of the best way I think I could put it.
Fastball in there from Lucille, so the count runs to 2-2 now on Tristan Peterson. Yeah, that's a good point you think you make. Everybody on this team had a good relationship. There was no tension at any point on this team, even the intern staff and as a whole, as an organization, always a loose and friendly atmosphere as Peterson goes down on strikes there. So the second strikeout of the inning so far for Christian Lucille. Gives it 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th, and now it's going to make way for Gabe Chavez, second baseman for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
Speaking of that, I think that you talk about that, camaraderie. I think that Tom, Nick, and Aaron have created a great system here, like where interns can come and thrive right away, where players, they like the culture here. You got to shout them out like that way. They definitely have given us a platform where we can succeed, and we have. I honestly think that our social media has made huge gains. Like we're just, killing it. Our ops team kills it every day. Like they work harder than anyone I've seen, and then our broadcasting, like you said, everyone loves us. I just saw somebody like come up to you like, oh, thanks for everything you do, and it's important. It's a very good system they got in place here.
Yeah, one thing I was saying earlier in the ball game is that I think Arroyo Seco as a organization is still in their infancy stages. They're only reaching their prime, not really there yet, and it's going to be exciting to see where this program goes in the next 5 to 10 years. I look forward to coming back to these games. You're a Pasadena native, so you've been around this area. You lived around this area, so I'm pretty sure you also will be associated some way with the Saints. And that's one thing always Tom Stafford always preaches. It's not about you leave this internship and you're done. It's like you're part of the family, the Saints family, forever after doing this internship. Gabe Chavez now is out 2 strikes on him. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Arroyo Seco is up 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons. I guess another question when I ask you, who's your favorite Saint this past season? Who was your favorite player out there on the field?
I just answered this. I think it's Blake Beers. He's not here anymore, but he was a dog. I think my favorite moment is I think the umpire gave him, it was 2 straight balls where he was right there. The pitch was right there. And he said, okay, that's fine. I think he struck out the next 2 guys. I was like, that's great. When you have that type of mentality, like, no, like, I'm going to decide this, that's crazy to me. That was probably my favorite player. And he's just a great guy to talk to. You can talk for hours.
Full count. Chavez skies that one over to shallow center field. The center fielder for the Academy Barons, not Jacob Jenkins. That is our center fielder. Desmond Gates puts it away for the final out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. David, thank you for joining me on the broadcast.
Thank you very much.
Arroyo Seco trailing. They're up 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons. We pick things up back in the top of the 8th inning here on the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. The Arroyo Seco Saints lead 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons. Once again joined by Ryan Osborne. My name is Steven Baltiera. And digging in for his 3rd at-bat of the game, Desmond Gates, the center fielder for the Academy Barons. On the mound, the new pitcher for the Arroyo Seco Saints is J.D. Rusamano, number 35. Rusamano from Corbin University, NIA product. His first pitch is a fastball in the dirt for a ball, so 1-0 the count on Desmond Gates. Ryan, you're back on the broadcast. I know you've been playing shuffling right now, musical chairs, different players coming out and interviewing. You had Nick Lacayo, we had Coach Dave Andrews, we had our graphic design intern, David Ortez. David Ortez. We also had, who else did we have on the broadcast?
JT and Bryce Gray.
JT and Bryce Gray had a 2-inning takeover. We were not present.
We were listening. We just weren't present.
A 3-0 count now here on Desmond Gates, the leadoff hitter in the top of the 8th inning. Both of these teams are fighting for 6th place in the CCL standings to end their seasons. They will not be eligible for CCL playoffs.
And to be honest, you look at MLB Academy, they actually hold the upper hand as they will play tonight against Arroyo Seco, and they will have a game tomorrow night as well.
Bennett McCaskill lost the ball there on the foul ball behind home plate. So Gates has another chance there. That ball hit the fence, so not really an opportunity to begin with, but Bennett McCaskill had no idea where that ball was going.
And it knocked down another baseball.
We still have one baseball stuck over there in the right corner of the fence, so they're scattered all over this fence. They get stuck there with the chain link fence around us. Probably one of the benefits of netting around the field. You don't really see that. You don't really see chain link fence too often in a college setting. Nonetheless, still a 3-1 count now here on Desmond Gates, the leadoff hitter in the top of the 8th inning. As you mentioned, the Academy Brands have one more game left on this season, so they will have a chance to claim 6th place in the CCL standings to end their season.
The problem is for them, they have to take on the OC Riptide, who has actually clinched a playoff berth.
Gates fouls this one back once again, so the count runs to 3-2 on the center fielder. Rusamano from Tarzana, California. He is a senior, so his time playing baseball at Corbin University will be done. Had the chance to interview him 2 weeks ago over at Biola University for the SoCal Catch game. As Gates slaps this one over into right field, but the right fielder for the Arroyo Seco Saints puts it away for the first out. Now it's Cameron Briggs.
Briggs had a little bit of trouble trying to pick that one up initially, as it was dying pretty quickly once it got out towards right field. But he was able to get there, go down on one knee, and make the catch.
As nightfall starts to approach, a lot of these, the darkness starts to kind of fade in, and the ball is going to get hard to see as Bennett McCaskill had a trouble on that pop-up behind home plate. So you can expect more of that from the outfielders. Now digging in is Daniel Harris, the DH this afternoon for the Academy Barons. Usamano gets set. Harris squares around a bump, pulls it back on the ball on the dirt, so a 1-0 count on Harris. So we mentioned this is our final game of the broadcast. So the final game of the season for the Arroyo Seco Saints. Their season will end tonight. So curveball's in the dirt there. So a 2-0 count now here on Daniel Harris. So far this afternoon, who was your best interview? You have to say Ryan Osborne.
You know what? I'll have to say Coach Dave Andrews. And Nick Lakai was a really informative interview when it comes to what catchers see.
Harris grounds that one over to third base. Picking it up is Marco Martinez in the dirt. Unable to come up with it as Cooper Williams at first base. So Harris will be safe at first on the errant throw. And that'll be an error right there maybe on Marco Martinez, a throwing error. So one man out still in the top of the 8th inning. The throwing error from Marco Martinez leads to Harris being safe at first, and now to make way for Josh Benuelos, the second baseman. So you said Dave Andrews probably your best interview this afternoon?
Yeah, he kind of just mentioned how each person has developed. You look at a guy like Blake Beers, who came in, they already knew he was going to be a big velo guy, but it was just a matter of whether or not they could get him into as many starts as possible. And having to tailor different game plans according to each person that comes out to Arroyo Seco. Nobody realizes that these guys on the coaching staff, they don't just, oh, okay, what's your goal for the season? Fine, we'll try and do that. They actually, I'll get to that.
Slaps Benuelos slaps that one over to center field, but Jacob Jenkins retires it for the second out here in the top of the 8th inning. As you were saying, though, Ryan.
They actually contact the coaches of each and every player to make sure that the goals of the player are in line with what the college recruited the player for. So not what the college's goals are, but what they recruited them for. If they recruited them as a big velo guy, then it's going to be increase the velocity. If they recruited them as a big stamina guy, it's increasing the stamina. That was it. It kind of opened my eyes as to what the coaching staffs do here in summer baseball.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an interesting take there. Obviously, you want to improve on what you already like from a player, but not improve other areas. It's kind of it's a little bit questioning, but at the same time, I guess there is some method to that madness. Now digging in is Joseph Argumedo, the big catcher, and he swings and misses over that fastball from Musamano, so an 0-1 count. 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning. Arroyo Seco leads 3-2 over the Academy Barons. Leading from first base, Daniel Harris on the air from Marco Martinez at third. timeout real quick as Argumento stands out and takes a breather. But as you mentioned, Dave Andrews talking about how they want to improve on the aspects that coaches already like from their players. So you mentioned Charles Peacock as one option. I heard you guys on the broadcast. Peacock, a big velocity guy. Open the low 90s so far this summer for the Arroyo Seco Saints as Argumento slaps that one foul down the right field line and out of play. So their main goal with Peacock was to improve the velocity throughout the past month and a half.
Yeah, and it was also a big thing for Charles Peacock to make sure that they got him to establish a little bit more control. Figure out how you can move the ball in and outside of the strike zone and kind of bait different batters into swings and misses.
Taken off is Harris, but the ball is fouled back by Argumento, so he will have to go back to first base. 0-2 remains the count on Joseph Argumento. Waiting on deck is the first baseman, Hunter Lewis. These two teams have had a little bit of a heated rivalry so far in the CCL season. The Academy Barons had a walk-off win against the Saints 2 weeks ago over at the Urban Youth Academy in Compton, California. Christian Lucille, the actual pitcher for these Academy Barons, was the one who provided the walk-off win for the Barons. That ball is going to get over Bennett McCaskill's head, and Harris will end up at second base anyway. So the wild pitch from Rusamano allows Harris to advance to second.
As Rusamano goes and gets another baseball, it looked like on that one he was trying to aim it just a little bit too much. And in that situation, he just held on to it for just a shade too long and allowed for his shoulder to dip while releasing the baseball.
So the Barons now have a runner in scoring position here in the top of the 8th inning with 2 men out. Looking to tie this ball game up. Looking to clinch the 6th spot in the CCL standings. Rusamano gets set now. The 1-2 pitch is a curveball low and outside, and a nice catch there from Bennett McCaskill. Looking back on this Saints season so far, they had a player get signed as an undrafted free agent, and Michael Gomez from Cal Poly Pomona. So a couple of highlights for the Saints team. As they will head into the offseason as a fastball is a swing and miss by Argumento for strike 3 and the final out here in the top of the 8th inning. So no runs, no hits, 1 runner left on base. We will head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Arroyo Seco leads 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons. We pick things up back in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Saints lead 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons. And now digging in for the Saints is the product of Mid-American Nazarene, Jacob Jenkins. The first pitch from Lucille is a fastball and a swung and a miss by Jenkins, so 0-1 the count on the center fielder. Had the pleasure of talking to his parents in the 5th inning. Came up to us and tell us how they appreciate our broadcast and they're able to watch the games whenever they're on the road. Fastball once again in there for a strike, so 0-2 the count quickly on Jacob Jenkins. Stopping by the booth right now is Alex Scarr, also a broadcaster for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
Big time.
Part of the Fox Sports crew now.
SoCal Prep, if I'm not mistaken.
SoCal Prep insider for the Fox Sports team, the Fox Sports West team. Recently a full-time gig there, so congratulations to him as Jenkins goes down swinging on that changeup in the dirt. So first out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Strikeout for Lucille, and now it's going to make way for the newly Trojan of USC and Marco Martinez. He is going to be a freshman this upcoming season. Ryan, you're shaking your head over here. I know you're a big-time UCLA fan. So am I. Still got to be a good feeling if you're a freshman going into USC next year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a terrific opportunity. And as much as I may shake my head, if I were in Marco Martinez's shoes and you get a free ride to go to a USC, you know, you put the V
fight
up,
on, my
fight
friend.
on, and you're right there wearing that cardinal and gold. And congratulations to him for being able to work his way up to that point that he can actually catch the eye of USC coaching, of the USC coaching staff, and go and play Pac-12 baseball and get as much of an opportunity to display himself towards a major league or a professional level as possible.
As Christian Lucio over there plunks Marco Martinez in the back of the shoulder, so he will be at first base with one out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And now to the top of the order in Cameron Briggs. So Cameron Briggs will make his way into the box. The leadoff hitter for the Arroyo Seco Saints, still clinging to a 1-run lead here. Bottom of the 8th inning. Quick pick right there from Lucille, but Martinez back in time. Yeah, that's a good point you make. I mean, obviously, if I was ever recruited by USC, I would I'd burn all my UCLA gear.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would have to, man. It would have to be a full commitment to the men of Troy. Fastball high right there, so the count will now run to 2-0 on Cameron Briggs. The historic Rose Bowl right behind us is the home of UCLA football, so a lot of UCLA bloodlines here in Pasadena, California. Jackie Robinson played at UCLA. That is a sin. I should never say that again. That is an absolute sin. Seals fastball is in there for a strike, so the count now is at 2-1.
Surprisingly enough, not many people know this, but UCLA did not always play at the Rose Bowl. Oh, okay, let me put it this way. People above the age of 45 know that UCLA did not play at the Rose Bowl for their entire history.
It's Briggs over there, skies that one to center field, and Desmond Gates retires him for the first out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Excuse me, the second out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. But as you were mentioning, UCLA football history.
So I throw it to you, sir. What venue did UCLA football use?
Ooh. I want to say, give me a moment on this one, my friend, as digging in now for the Arroyo Seco Saints is Angelo Armenta, shortstop. First pitch from Lucio's that fastball in there for a strike. So 0-1. Okay, thinking about it now. UCLA did not always use the Rose Bowl.
I believe it was 81 or 82 that they moved into the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
So that's fairly recent.
It's fairly recent. Lucio gets set now. 2 outs. Fastball just misses outside, so a 1-1 count now here on Armenta. I'm thinking about this, man. My logical guess is going to be the Coliseum.
The Coliseum.
I believe that. I mean, that's just only the logical. I mean, there's only so many places to play football in L.A., and it had to be the Coliseum. So they both shared the Coliseum at that moment.
They would share the Coliseum. That's why both teams would wear their home uniforms.
Very true.
And that's where that tradition started of both teams, one using the powder blue and the other using the cardinal and gold. And it just kind of stuck around after UCLA moved out. And the UCLA football staff kind of realized, you know what, the more we play in the Coliseum, the more overshadowed we're going to be because we are quite literally on USC's campus. So they looked around and said, hey, you know what, there's a spot that it doesn't really get much more historic than. And they came down to the Rose Bowl, and they haven't left since.
So deuces are wild now. Christian Lucille, the 2-2 pitch, swung and a miss there from Armenta for the final out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. So no runs, no hits, 1 runner left on base. We will head to the top of the 9th inning. possibly the last at-bats and the last broadcast inning of the season for the Arroyo Seco Saints. Arroyo Seco leads 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons.
In the bottom of the 8th inning, no runs on no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. Going to the 9th, the Saints lead 3-2. Now pitching for the Saints from the University of San Francisco, number 27, Joey Steele. Leading off the 9th inning for the Barons, number 20. Welcome back to the broadcast in the top of the 9th inning. Joey Steele now on the mound for the Arroyo Seco Saints, trying to close out this ball game and the season for the 2018 CCL season for the Saints. At the plate is Hunter Lewis, the first baseman for the MLB Academy Barons. 3-2 ball game. The Saints lead over the Barons here. Had various people on the broadcast this afternoon. Steele gets set now on this first pitch. It's a curveball, and it just misses outside. 1-0 the count on Lewis. What has been your favorite moment so far as we kind of wrap up this season and this game here of the Saints season so far in the 2018 CCL season?
You know what? I have to go to the beginning of the year, and that is game number 1 against the OC Riptide, where they beat the defending champions. And everybody kind of looked out in that Arroyo Seco dugout, and they looked around, and they're like, yeah, we can hang with these guys. And it's unfortunate the way that the rest of the way went, but it was still that sense of, yeah, there is no intimidation factor here. We are the Saints, and we're going to play this season.
Curveball's in there for a strike from Joey Steele, so the count now 2-1 on Lewis. I think my favorite moment of this season so far had to be the CCL All-Star game. I think that was a bright
That's
spot.
fair.
We had John Thomas and also the man on the mound, Joey Steele, at that game. Fastball outside from Steele, so a 3-1 count now here on Lewis.
Let's be honest. You liked it because you got camera time.
It was great, man. You had to get a little bit of camera time there down the third base line. Had to show the little bright whites and the smile. Yeah, it's just overall, it just felt like an awesome experience right there. Fox Sports West televised game on the regional level as a fastball is fouled down the first base line and almost in the MLB Academy Barons dugout. So the count now is full on Lewis. Yeah, I mean, overall, that experience, though, it was just, awesome. We got a chance to go there, kind of do a little bit of interviews, talk to the players a little bit, and kind of see Arroyo Seco represented in a bigger spotlight overall nationally, too, on television. So
That was a big moment for the team and the organization as a whole. Curveball now fouled off by Lewis, so the count remains 3-2 on the first baseman.
Well, I mean, you look at that prospect game, and it was a fun time not only for us, but also watching Joey Steele, John Thomas, both there. We got there, and it was fun from the beginning. You and I were talking with the other interns. We were joking and having fun, just being there to have a good time.
Exactly.
Though there was some work to do and there was some stuff that we had to highlight for the team, we did a pregame, almost did a postgame, but
Almost did it.
that game ran a little long for the postgame. But everyone had their own job to do, which they did. But it was more of a laid-back style. We got to get to know more of the staffing here at Arroyo Seco. We got to know Coach Bueller a little more, Coach Cody as well. We got to know Tom Stafford, Nick Gorman, and just kind of being there and having that personable level with everyone was special, because a lot of different places don't give you that opportunity. In summer ball, a lot of times you'll see where it's, okay, you have the heads of staff, and they are the heads of staff, and you will treat them as such. And while there is that respect from the interns to the staffing here, there is that respect of, hey, they are the ones who run this.
Yes.
We help them out. There is that respect. However, you also are able to joke around with them. You're able to have fun with them.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to make right there, is that this team and this organization as a whole, from Aaron Milam to Tom Stafford to Nick Gorman, all the way down to Andrew Gotti, the field maintenance man here. I mean, just everybody has a personable relationship with everybody. They don't want to just know you as a work person. They want to know you as a person and who you are and how you're going to represent this organization. So that's what makes this organization, I think, first class. Obviously, it hasn't translated to wins on the field so far, but I'm hopeful for the years to come. I'm hopeful for the 2019 CCL season, the 2020 CCL season. I believe that it eventually will translate to wins for this organization, because they run themselves as a first class and a top-notch championship organization off the field. Joey Steele now gets set. 1-2 count on Trevor Matson. 1 out, and then the top of the 9th inning. Curveball just misses outside, so the count will run to 2-2 on Matson. Steele struck out Hunter Lewis for the first out here in the top of the 9th inning. Arroyo Seco leading 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons, trying to close out this season. Been a tumultuous season so far for the Saints, but trying to end it on a high note. The 2-2 count now here. Steele gets set. 2-2 pitch, fastball swung and missed there from Trevor Matson for the second out here in the top of the 9th inning. So back-to-back strikeouts for Joey Steele. And we're down to our final out here in the top of the 9th inning, and it's going to make way for Cameron Dean, the left fielder for the MLB Academy Barons.
And that's the thing with Joey Steele. I mean, when you talk about different moments, you can look at
Fly kind of got your way.
that moth threw me off pretty quick. I'm just saying.
We're outdoors. We're not in a press box here, so we are outdoors, and it feels a little bit humid out here, to say the least.
That moth had the wingspan of my entire middle finger, okay? No, but, Joey Steele has been one of those guys all season long where you came in, nobody knew who Joey Steele was at the beginning of the season, but now you're here at the end of the year and you're going, dude, this Joey Steele guy is going to be good, and we're going to be hearing his name a lot in the future.
1-0 pitches a fastball in the dirt, so 2-0 the count on Cameron Dean. 2 men out, top of the 9th inning. Arroyo Seco went leading 3-2 over the Urban Youth Academy Barons. Trying to close this season out for the Arroyo Seco Saints. Steele gets set now. The 2-0 pitch to Dean's a fastball, and it's fouled back here behind the plate. So a 2-1 count on Cameron Dean. Yeah, just overall, I just have to give a shout-out to everybody on the staff, including you, Ryan Osborne, Anthony Alejandrez, and the broadcast, Alex Scar, even the interns down there. You had Emily Moran, Megan Tainaka, Tommy, the redhead. I don't know his last name. Max Red. You have David Ortez, who we interviewed earlier, David Coe. The entire staff. If I'm missing anybody, I feel bad. But even Aaron Milam, Tommy Stafford, training staff, exactly. Joey Steele gets set now. The 2-1 pitch to Cameron Dean as he fouls that one back again, and the deuces are one wild now. So the Academy Barons are down to their final strike here at Brookside Park.
And also a big thanks to the players, as they've been not only cooperative, but they've been fun this year.
Exactly.
They've been fun to deal with. I mean, we were able to crack jokes with the two guys who were on the air earlier,
Yes.
Bryce Gray and John Thomas. And you went up to Healdsburg with the entire team. This is a personable type of team that you can level with them. We're all the same age, and everybody realizes that.
Joey Steele, 2-2 pitches sky down the right field line and just foul for Cameron Dean. So the count will remain 2-2 on Cameron Dean. Yeah, everybody on this team, just like they said, there was no bad blood, no drama, no nothing. This is obviously just a smooth-running, first-class organization. And like I said, I mentioned, they're only in their infancy stages. This program will grow every single year, and I can't wait to come back to Brookside Park and see how far this program has grown. One thing I mentioned to David Ortez that Tommy Stafford always told me, once you leave this program, you are no longer gone. You are always a part of the family and the Saints family. You're always welcome here. So that is something that I will greatly appreciate going forward as everybody kind of goes off and explores their future ventures. The 2-2 pitch now to Joey Steele. Curveball fouled off again by Cameron Dean. So the Barons are not done just yet.
Cameron Dean trying to keep us from beating that early traffic.
So the Deuces are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 men out. Arroyo Seco leads 3-2 over the Academy Barons here in the top of the 9th inning. Arroyo Seco trying to close their season out. Trying to retake 6th place here tonight here at Brookside Park. Joey Steele shaking off the catcher, gets his sign now. He gets set. Long pause there, and the 2-2 pitch to Deans. A fastball just misses inside. So the count will run full now on the left fielder.
And you can hear the moans and groans from our left-hand side.
I think the Saints players are just about ready for this season to wrap up. I think they're just
They're
exhausted.
There's not a single person seated in that dugout to our left.
Joey still gets set now. Full count on Cameron Dean. 2 men out, top of the 9th inning. The 3-2 pitch now. Fastball. Shallow second. Gabe Chavez reaches over and puts it away for the final out of the season for the Arroyo Seco Saints. The Saints win 3-2 over the MLB Academy Barons, and they will finish their season ahead of the Academy Barons in the 6th place spot so far this season. Ryan, go ahead and give me your final thoughts on the season for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
You know what? It was a fun season. Though it has a little bit of a disappointing end, it was a fun season. You got to see different guys some guys who went from boys, they turned into men at the end of this season. Some guys who came in with no confidence in how they pitched, no confidence in how they batted, and they're leaving here. Look at a Joey Steele, who came in here thinking, you know what, I would like to know how to become a closer for my squad over at San Francisco. The way that he left, he says, I am the closer at San Francisco. Nobody's taking that from me. You can look at different guys on this roster and just the way that they have battled, whether it be through injury, through different lineup changes, not being in every day, having to figure out last minute that they're going to be tossed in, seeing another guy start ahead of them, but yet everybody is staying as a team. They have stayed as friends, and you cannot go into that dugout and hear one negative comment about another guy.
As you mentioned, memories that will last a lifetime here in summer baseball at Arroyo Seco from Pasadena, California. Ryan, I have to thank you one last time. I appreciate the broadcast this season. I appreciate you. Thank you. Jacob Jenkins' dad says hi to us and thanks us and appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate what you've done for this broadcast. I look forward to seeing what you do in your future ventures. Our time is done here. I think the best thing to say sometimes is nothing at all. And that is what I'm going to leave you guys with. For the last time this season, the Saints win. We will no longer be here for the 2019 season, but the show will go on. You'll have new broadcasters, you'll have a new team, and maybe possibly a championship team in the CCL.
This also concludes the 15th year of Arroyo Seco baseball. This has been the epitome of Crown City baseball.
Crown City baseball, as you mentioned, maybe not translate to wins on the field, but overall the best organization I have to say in the CCL, and I, of course, am biased. That'll do it here from Brookside Park. My name is Stephen Baltiera, alongside Ryan Osborne. Have a great night.